Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage. Many children, many blessings, starting with Mist Shinobi Kunoichi. Chapter 41. Hey, you mean peace. Mangetsu smiled faintly. He looked up at the sky. It was already a little light, and occasionally he could see clouds stained by the night. Peace, does that thing really exist? Mangetsu laughed at himself. As long as there are ninjas in countries, there will be selfish people. Selfish people will never be extinct, so the struggle will never disappear, and there will never be real peace. Kazuma Kobayakawa suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. It would be easy to talk. As long as he could try his best to delay some time, the probability of survival would be greater. There is no harm in talking more. Mangetsu lowered his head and looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa. He said in a good mood, "Have you seen a baby?" When Suigetsu was just born, I was very puzzled. How could such a cute guy exist in this world? For me, my father, mother, and brother are everything to me. For them, I can destroy the village. Kazuma Kobayakawa was slightly startled. He didn't realize that Mangetsu actually valued family affection so much. It's a pity that I didn't reach a deal when I visited the Hyuga clan. Otherwise, if I worked hard, Mangetsu would have another brother. With this father-son relationship, it might be easier to talk. Then, you should support me in taking the seal scroll of 3 tails. Kobayakawa Kazuma explained. I have contacted a cloud shinobi before. Their plan is to use the civil war in the village to achieve the goal of seizing 3 tails and occupying the village. Once the civil war starts, not only your relatives and the Hyuga clan, but also the civilians of Mist Shinobi will be involved in the war. Bloodline limit ninjas and non-bloodline limit ninjas will die in large numbers. In the end, only Cloud Shinobi and the other 4 major countries will benefit. Mangetsu was slightly startled, and then smiled. So what, will the situation of the Hyuga clan be better under the policy of the 4th generation Yagura? Killing Yagura can at least avenge those dead clan members. Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't know what to say for a moment. Hyuga Mangetsu is similar to Uchiha Itachi. They are both young geniuses with a mind depth and thoughts far beyond their peers. However, unlike Uchiha Itachi, who regards peace and justice as everything, Hyuga Mangetsu is full of the priority of the Hyuga clan. Even if the village may perish, he doesn't care at all. This is not easy to deal with. This kind of person is not easy to be brainwashed by the will of fire. Kobayakawa Kazuma's forehead has been sweating coldly. Can he convince this person? Forget it, delay the time first, otherwise, there will be big trouble next. In fact, I stole the seal scroll of 3 tails just to protect you. I am also a member of the Terumi clan. My entire family was destroyed in the civil war in the village. I deeply understand the pain of losing my loved ones. Kobayakawa Kazuma said nonsense. Even if you have the seal scroll, you are definitely not the opponent of Yagura. The Dark Knight organization will be destroyed, and your brother, father, and mother will die, because behind Yagura, there is the support of Konoha. There is no other way. Kobayakawa Kazuma can only take the strong man of Konoha to take the blame. As long as he messes up Manzuki's thoughts and delays some time, the chance of escape will be greater. Konoha. Manzuki raised the corner of his mouth and asked with a smile, "Are you playing me as a 3-year-old child?" Seeing that he failed to fool Manzuki, Kobayakawa Kazuma frowned. In the ninja world, although there are 5 major countries on the surface, anyone with a discerning eye can see that the other 4 major ninja villages cannot compete with Konoha at all. After all, most of the cheaters come from Konoha. If Konoha hadn't secretly helped, why could Yagura still sit in the position of Mizukage and launch a coup? It's impossible that your bloodline limit family can't deal with a mere Mizukage. Kobayakawa Kazuma continued to deceive. If Mangetsu didn't believe that Konoha controlled Kurigakure, he had to stick to his point of view. If you want to deceive others, first deceive yourself. In fact, Yagura was indeed controlled, but the person who controlled Yagura was not Konoha, but the rebel ninja Uchiha Obito. However, Kobayakawa Kazuma doesn't dare to say Obito's name yet. Once his words reach the ears of Mizukage's confidants, he is really not far away from death. As Kobayakawa Kazuma's question came out, Ghost Man Yu was also stunned. Yes, why can't the blood succession limited family solve a Mizukage from the Goji clan? Their families have been passed down for hundreds of years, and many of the ninjas in the families are elites. Even more than half of the Jonin in the village are from the blood successor Kaker family. Hey, are you serious? Ghost Man Yu frowned. With a gloomy face, he agreed with Kazuma Kobayakawa's statement for the first time. It's true. Kobayakawa Kazuma nodded. He stood up with his ninja sword and regained some confidence. Just now, Water Lily gave birth to a child with D-level ninja qualifications. The birth of this child brought him a huge amount of chakra of 1.2 calories. Chakra is life energy. The sudden extra 1.2 calories of chakra quickly healed Kazuma Kobayakawa's body. He could even feel that the internal injuries he had suffered before were being repaired quickly, and he was back to normal in the blink of an eye. Name: Kazuma Kobayakawa. Lifespan: 39 years. Chakra: 4.1 calories. Ninja qualification: C/17/20. Blood succession limit: crystal style. Ninjutsu: body replacement technique 40% completion, transformation technique 38% completion, clone technique 36% completion, water style. Mist shinobi technique 29% completion, sword technique. Tsukikage complete 27%, water style. Water iron cannon 19% completion, truth technique 4% completion. The birth of this child brought Kazuma Kobayakawa a 4-year increase in lifespan, 1.2 calories of chakra, and some pretty good improvements in ninja qualifications. If Kazuma Kobayakawa can learn a few B-level ninjutsu now, his strength will not be inferior to that of ordinary Jonin. Ghost Man Yu was also surprised to see the changes in Kobayakawa Kazuma. The originally scarred body was being repaired one by one, and the wounds on his body disappeared quickly. This made him realize that Kazuma Kobayakawa had been stalling for time. However, Wei Dang Man Yu didn't care. Even if Kazuma Kobayakawa could suddenly recover from his injuries, the gap in strength would be huge. I think I kind of believe what you said. Ghost Man Yu smiled. He disassembled the double-handed sword into two two-handed swords, held them in his hands respectively, and added, "Killing Yagura can be given up for the time being, but you must go back with me and hand over the sealing scroll of 3 tails." Kobayakawa Kazuma sighed. It seemed that he could not delay until dawn. Unexpectedly, he would still have to fight in the end. "I'm sorry, my child was born just now. Teacher Water Lily worked hard to give birth to my child. There is no reason not to see her." Kobayakawa Kazuma shook his head. He held the ninja sword across his chest, and then he realized that the ninja sword was on there as an extra gap. Although Kobayakawa Kazuma's ninja sword is mixed with a certain amount of chakra metal, the gap between it and ninja swords of the level of 7 ninja swordsmen is still too big. After only resisting one blow, the ninja sword showed flaws. Wei Dang Man Yu had long expected that Kobayakawa Kazuma would not go back obediently. For him, it would just take some time, and it would be the same if he broke his limbs and took them back. After absorbing Mangetsu's chakra, the double-sworded sword almost doubled in size. Oniden Mangetsu swung the sword and slashed towards Kobayakawa Kazuma. When Kobayakawa Kazuma blocked with his ninja sword, and the huge force caused him to fly backwards. A crack appeared on the ninja sword that almost penetrated the blade. The remaining power of the flounder struck the ground, creating a deep depression. In midair, Kobayakawa Kazuma quickly formed a seal with one hand. He used the clone technique to disrupt his vision and rushed towards the ghost lamp full moon. Ghost Lantern moved his eyes full moon, and through the flow of air, he easily found the true identity of Kobayakawa Kazuma. Over there, Ghost Man Yu smiled faintly and hit Kazuma Kobayakawa's body, but saw Kazuma Kobayakawa forming a simple seal with one hand. Poof! The ninja sword penetrated Kobayakawa Kazuma's body, but suddenly he found that the feel was wrong. The next moment, Kobayakawa Kazuma's body turned into a wooden stake. The body replacement technique is Kobayakawa Kazuma's most accomplished E-level ninjutsu. It can be performed without the need for any seals. The real Kobayakawa Kazuma appeared behind Kidomangyu and slashed Kidomangyu's wrist with a knife. The shadow knife followed closely and slashed Kido Suigetsu's chest. However, the wound turned into a pool of water stains. With the hydration technique, Onidang Mangetsu is almost immune to most physical attacks, and Kobayakawa Kazuma's ninja sword is naturally not a problem. Kazuma Kobayakawa breathed out. As expected, the hydration technique can be both an active skill and a passive skill. Facing the ghost full moon, only the crystal style of the ninjutsu he mastered could cause damage to the opponent. The Ghost Lamp clan who can use the water technique is the opponent Kazuma Kobayakawa least wants to meet at this stage. Kobayakawa Kazuma followed closely and chopped on Kobayakawa Kazuma's shoulder. Kobayakawa Kazuma formed a seal again and activated the body replacement technique again. It's really interesting. You can use the body replacement technique continuously, and you can also use the body replacement technique to fool my eyes. There are not many ninjas like you. Ghost Light Man Yu commented lightly. Although Kazuma Kobayakawa does not have any powerful ninjutsu, every simple ninjutsu can show great effect when used by Kazuma Kobayakawa. If one were to evaluate ninja abilities based solely on the use of ninjutsu, Kazuma Kobayakawa would undoubtedly have surpassed Jonin. In fact, if it weren't for the bloodline limit of the family, Kobayakawa Kazuma's knife just hit him and was enough to injure him. It is almost impossible for a Chunin to hurt the 7 ninja swordsmen, but with Kazuma Kobayakawa, this happened. Seeing that the sword with all his strength had no effect, Kazuma Kobayakawa put the ninja sword back into the scabbard and prepared for a final fight with all his strength. Although I really don't want to use crystal style in the village, now, I obviously can't care about it. The attack just now caused a flaw in Guilang Man Yu's movements. Now that he uses crystal style, he might still have a chance. Gurren technique. A huge lotus broke out of the ground, appeared out of thin air around Guidang Man Yu, and wrapped around Guidang Man Yu's body. Ghost Lantern Man Yu quickly retreated and easily avoided crystal style. In the open field, crystal style was not so easy to use, and a fast ninja could easily avoid it. However, this is also because Kazuma Kobayakawa did not have the opportunity to develop crystal style. Now, the way he uses crystal style is still too rough. It's such a terrible ninjutsu. As long as you are hit by this jutsu, your body will turn into crystals, right? Hito Mangetsu broke the crystal with a single blow. Behind the crystal, Kazuma Kobayakawa had already formed a seal with one hand again. Water style. Mist Shinobi technique. The mist that Kobayakawa Kazuma spat out from his mouth hit Kaiden Mangetsu's face. When he spit out the mist, he quickly stepped back and distanced himself from Kaiden Mangetsu. Within a moment, the fog enveloped Kobayakawa Kazuma and Ghost Light Mangetsu. Kobayakawa Kazuma used clone technique to create the illusion that he was still in the thick fog, while the main body looked for opportunities to break out. There was a stalemate for a long time, and Kobayakawa Kazuma couldn't find a chance. He tried hard to observe the movements of Ghost Lantern Man Yu. Good opportunity. The moment he saw the full moon of the ghost lamp attacking his clone, Kazuma Kobayakawa quickly escaped from the thick fog and continued to escape towards the center of the village. Suddenly, the full moon of the ghost lamp appeared in front of Kazuma Kobayakawa, slashed with 2 swords, and brushed against Kazuma Kobayakawa's scalp. Kobayakawa Kazuma narrowly escaped, but his body also lost balance and fell to the ground. Kobayakawa, don't think that you are the only one who can clone. Ghost Man Yu twisted his neck and made a clicking sound. He walked towards Kobayakawa Kazuma step by step, stepping on the ground with confidence and calmness. How could it be? Kazuma Kobayakawa looked into the thick fog. Without him as the caster to maintain it, the thick fog quickly dissipated. In the thick fog, there were figures of ghost lights and full moons everywhere. These figures disappeared and turned into pools. Water damage. Ghost Lantern Full Moon used the water body to interfere with Kazuma Kobayakawa's judgment. The body had already escaped from the dense fog and predicted the direction of Kazuma Kobayakawa's escape. There is no doubt that the current Kobayakawa Kazuma is no match for Ghost Mangetsu. From ninjutsu to combat experience, he has been crushed. More importantly, the hydration technique of Ghost Light Mangetsu is the sword technique of Kazuma Kobayakawa. I surrender. Take me to see Sister Yami. I believe that your Dark Knight organization is sensible and will not kill me. Kobayakawa Kazuma sighed and raised his hands. Seeing that the sky had begun to turn fish belly white, Kobayakawa Kazuma felt a little confident. Since he couldn't beat him, there was no need to resist anymore. Although Guidang Man Yu didn't want to kill him, swords don't have eyesight after all. If someone is accidentally sent away with a sword, who can explain it? As long as what you say is true, I will definitely protect you. I believe Yame thinks the same way. The full moon of the ghost lamp cancelled the shape change of the turtle. The next moment, the ninja sword returned to its normal size and was carried on his back. On the back, Kobayakawa Kazuma returned to his previous stronghold under the pressure of the full moon. It was dawn and Terumi Masami was smoking a pipe in the courtyard. This guy has something to say to you. Ghost Man Yu pointed at Kazuma Kobayakawa and said. Kazuma Kobayakawa sighed and said truthfully, Sister Masami, I don't agree with your approach of joining forces with Cloud Shinobi. This method will expose the vulnerability of the village to Cloud Shinobi's sight. In short, give up your stronghold first. Find a place to hide and retire, give me 3 years, and I will change this blood mist village. Kazuma, what you say is really irritating. Do you look down on my sister? Terumi Masami gently patted Kobayakawa Kazuma's cheek, then clenched her right hand into a fist and punched him. Just before the fist landed on Kazuma Kobayakawa's face, a ray of light shone from the sky, and a cloud of white mist exploded where Kazuma Kobayakawa was. Finally, after surviving the reverse summoning technique, Kobayakawa Kazuma successfully returned home. Does this guy actually hide this level of space ninjutsu? Ghost Man Yu looked surprised. He still had many things to ask before Kobayakawa Kazuma escaped. This guy actually escaped under the supervision of 2 leaders of the Dark Knight organization. Terumi Masami's punch missed, but she felt a little more relaxed. If a traitor like Kazuma Kobayakawa falls into the hands of the organization, there will definitely be no good results. Even if he escaped, at least the Terumi clan would have a successor. Kazuma Kobayakawa is so cowardly that he might escape until the day Yagura leaves office. Yes, Kazuma Kobayakawa is so cunning, even I was deceived by him. Ghost Man Yu sighed. After listening to Kobayakawa Kazuma's words, he no longer wanted to assassinate Yagura. Now that the 3 Tails seal scroll was missing and the assassination plan was completely bankrupt, the old guys in the family no longer had the capital to launch a war. In short, let's leave Yagura alive for the time being, continue to operate secretly, and wait to see if there will be a turn for the better in the future. Seeing that the base of the bar in Kurigakure has been exposed, Manu and Terumi Masami abandoned the place and remained hidden in the dark. Saved. Kazuma Kobayakawa breathed out. In the room, Terumi Mei was changing clothes, and the girl's figure showed a proud figure. Kazuma, brother. Seeing Kazuma Kobayakawa appear, Terumi Mei covered her face, and her skin turned red quickly like a cooked prawn. However, isn't it wrong to cover the place? Sorry, Ming, brother didn't mean it. Kobayakawa Kazuma turned around and left Terumi Mei's room. My sister has grown up and has a sense of shame. In this case, as an older brother, he should avoid it. In this operation, Takoyaki made great contributions. Kazuma Kobayakawa sent some fish food to Takoyaki, and then immediately went to the Mizukage office building near his home. After the mission is over, you must immediately restore your identity. If you are beaten to death by Jonin in the village at this time, there will really be no place to cry. After 2 months, Kazuma Kobayakawa appeared again in the empty Mizukage office. Yagura's pressure was still terrifying, and that hollow and numb voice echoed in the room. Thank you for your hard work, Kobayakawa Kazuma. I am very satisfied with the results of this mission. Yagura took the seal scroll from Kobayakawa Kazuma and praised it without hesitation. It is my duty to share Mizukage-sama's worries. Kobayakawa Kazuma responded. From today on, you are the official Jonin of Kurigakure. Someone will settle the rewards for the mission afterwards. Yagura nodded and said, you can go home and rest. Yes. Kobayakawa Kazuma exited the Mizukage office building. Yagura's orders were quickly passed around Kurigakure. The bounty orders in various departments were cancelled and replaced by notification orders for promotion to Jonin. Hey, Kazuma Kobayakawa, you are finally back. To be honest, you are the fastest to complete the task of becoming Jonin. Coming out of Mizukage's office, Kazuma Kobayakawa saw Hoshigaki Kisame walking towards him. Hoshigaki Kisame also just received notice that Kazuma Kobayakawa returned to Kurigakure and became Jonin. Kisame-senpai. Kazuma Kobayakawa greeted politely. Go back, Water Lily must have been waiting at home for a long time. Hoshigaki Kisame patted Kobayakawa Kazuma on the shoulder, and the two passed by. After leaving the Mizukage office building, Kobayakawa Kazuma walked towards the hospital. Water Lily gave birth to a baby last night and should still be in the hospital now. He had to go and see. Congratulations on your promotion to Jonin, Kazuma Kobayakawa. However, with your strength, it is reasonable to be promoted to Jonin. Outside Mist Shinobi Hospital, Aikido Kobayakawa, who had been waiting here for a long time, greeted Kazuma Kobayakawa. It's just good luck. Kobayakawa Kazuma stopped in front of Goji Aikido and asked, "Are you waiting for someone?" "Senior Aikido. I have something to ask you." Goji nodded and asked without hesitation, "Did that guy Chuyuan Kagura have any last words before he died?" As one of the few Jonin in the village, Goju Kazuo and Akizono Kagura have some friendship. The two have completed tasks together, played shogi together, and sworn to dedicate everything to Mist Shinobi. Gowon Kagura is very aware of the strength of Akizono Kagura. Although the current Kobayakawa Kazuma is strong, he will never be able to easily kill Akizono Kagura, a veteran Jonin. "If you can use my head to buy Mist Shinobi's peace, then there is nothing to hesitate about." That's what he said. Kobayakawa Kazuma smiled. Thinking of Akizono Kagura, he still felt a little emotional. This is an admirable Jonin who can sacrifice everything for the village. However, Chuyuan Kagura's mind is still too rigid. She only knows how to be loyal but not flexible. "How did his granddaughter Xiaoling die?" Guju asked again. "Akizono Kagura asked me to kill him." Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't shy away from anything, and answered Guju's questions one by one. Goji Yi nodded, and after learning the truth, he left with relief. Finally entering the hospital, Kobayakawa Kazuma saw the water lily. The child was lying in the arms of the water lily, sleeping peacefully. "Welcome home, Kazuma. Now, you have become a glorious Jonin, and one of the only 13 Jonin in Mist Shinobi." Water Lily smiled, her eyes almost narrowed. As early as the very beginning, when Kazuma Kobayakawa betrayed the village, she was keenly aware of what mission he was supposed to be doing. Now, Water Lily's thoughts were finally confirmed. She saw Kobayakawa Kazuma's hard work and talent. From becoming a Chunin to becoming a Jonin, there was only a year in between. Kobayakawa Kazuma kissed Water Lily on the forehead and responded, "Thank you for your hard work, Teacher Water Lily. I am willing to give birth to a child for you, no matter how hard it is." Water Lily leaned on Kazuma Kobayakawa's shoulder and smiled slightly. The fatigue of giving birth and the worries of the past 2 months made Water Lily's body very tired. The return of Kobayakawa Kazuma made her feel at ease. When she leaned on Kobayakawa Kazuma's shoulder, Water Lily felt a long-lost sense of security, and she quickly fell asleep. Kobayakawa Kazuma gently put the Water Lily down, covered it with a quilt, turned and left the hospital. After meeting Water Lily, Kazuma Kobayakawa's next stop was naturally the home of the Watermelon Dolphin Ghost. As the master of the Broadsword Samahata, Watermelon Yamaguchi is in charge of Kurigakure's intelligence department. In terms of status alone, he is the first person under Mizukage Yagura. As early as a few months ago, Kobayakawa Kazuma had given 800,000 ryo to the Watermelon Mountain Dog Demon in order to be promoted to Jonin and go to Konoha as a spy. Said to be a spy, in fact, when announced to the outside world, he should be the ambassador of Mist Shinobi, the plenipotentiary of Kurigakure, a symbol of peace and friendship. In fact, the Mist Shinobi embassy was established by the 3rd Mizukage and is still secretly executing the 3rd Mizukage's plan. "You are finally back, Jonin Kobayakawa Kazuma." In the room, the huge body of the Watermelon Dolphin Ghost sat on the chair, making the chair look extremely mini. Even Watermelon Yamatoki, who has seen the world, feels that Kobayakawa Kazuma's promotion speed is too bizarre. In just over a year, he was promoted from Genin to Jonin. "Senior Ziguashin, when will there be arrangements for the mission you mentioned before?" Kobayakawa Kazuma asked directly. "Take my letter and go to Konoha in 2 months to meet with Jonin Joji Naoya. After handing over the task to him, you can take office." Watermelon Mountain Dolphin Ghost immediately took out his writing brush and wrote in front of Kobayakawa Kazuma wrote a letter. Kazuma Kobayakawa accepted the letter in a good mood. With this letter, he will be able to go to Konoha as an envoy and gain contact with the Konoha shinobi. When it comes to the blood succession limit that is most cherished in the ninja world, it still depends on Konoha. After visiting the Watermelon Dolphin Ghost, Kobayakawa Kazuma came to the mission settlement area to settle this A-level mission. A-level tasks are already high-risk tasks in the ninja world, and the bounty is generally between 150,000 taels and 1.5 million taels. Let me show you. The ninja at the mission settlement desk adjusted his glasses and rummaged through the mission log. Found it. The ninja who settled the mission turned to a page in the log and saw Kazuma Kobayakawa's name. It was clearly marked on it. Completed the A-level mission and regained the lost seal scroll from Cloud Shinobi. The ninja glanced at Kazuma Kobayakawa in surprise. The Kazuma Kobayakawa in front of him was clearly in his early 20s. He had already become a Jonin at such a young age. He was a winner in life in Kurigakure. You know, including the newly promoted Kazuma Kobayakawa, there are only 13 Jonin in Kurigakure. Each one is respected by others and is the mate of countless Kunoichi. Congratulations, Mr. Jonin Kobayakawa Kazuma. The ninja who settled the mission put the 1.2 million taels of bounty money in the suitcase, filled the suitcase, and handed it over to Kobayakawa Kazuma. Kazuma Kobayakawa returned home with the money and ate the food cooked by Terumi-mae and Masado. After not seeing each other for more than 2 months, Masado became even more dependent on Kazuma Kobayakawa. She always stuck to Kazuma Kobayakawa. Another week later, Water Lily also came back from the hospital. After having a baby, Water Lily temporarily put aside her ninja life and focused on taking care of her home. There are still 2 months before leaving for Konoha. During this time, Kazuma Kobayakawa has not been doing tasks, but is working hard to improve his own strength. Since the completion rate of the E-level ninjutsu body replacement technique reached 41%, the growth has stagnated again, while the proficiency of the clone technique has increased to 40%. The original 5 seals of the ninjutsu can now be used with only 2 seals. Kobayakawa Kazuma clearly knows his own strengths and weaknesses. The huge chakra is enough for him to be able to face Jonin, and his skilled body replacement technique and clone technique can also play unexpected roles. However, the offense is still too weak and too single. He can only use water-style ninjutsu, and when facing Jonin, who is extremely experienced in combat, he is easily restrained by earth-style. After becoming a Jonin, the opponents encountered during the mission will be more powerful. Without exposing the crystal style, the ninjutsu that Kobayakawa Kazuma currently masters is not enough. For this reason, Kobayakawa Kazuma made a special trip to visit the Goju family and learn B-level ninjutsu fire style. Dragon fire technique from him. Although Kobayakawa Kazuma's main chakra attribute is water, there are also 3 chakra attributes of thunder, fire, and earth, but they have never been developed. In the past, his qualifications were too low, and it would be good if he could learn water style. Only now, after his ninja qualifications have reached sea level, will he think about developing the second chakra attribute. Senior Aikido, I want to learn fire style. Dragon fire technique. Kobayakawa Kazuma gave Goji Aikihei 300,000 taels and made his request during the meal. Secret techniques are generally not taught to outsiders, but for ninjutsu like the dragon fire technique, which is a commonplace ninjutsu, basically any Jonin with the fire attribute chakra knows it, and the Goji family has no reason to refuse. Yes, dragon fire technique itself is not a precious ninjutsu. You have just become a Jonin, so you should have one more type of genin technique. This will allow you to better adapt to Jonin's battles. Goji Yi agreed. He handed over the sealing methods and chakra flow to Kazuma Kobayakawa one by one. Kobayakawa Kazuma studied for a while, and after having a general understanding, he went home and practiced by himself. As a B-level ninjutsu, dragon fire technique pays more attention to power and accuracy. It is a fire style that highly condenses chakra and releases it. Its attack power is also among the best among the known B-level fire style ninjutsu. However, greater power means longer forward swing, otherwise, this ninjutsu would be classified as A-level or even S-level. It is very difficult to master a chakra attribute again. It took a month for Kobayakawa Kazuma to be able to master the entry-level dragon fire technique, and the ninjutsu completion rate reached 1%. In the evening, Kobayakawa Kazuma was still having dinner at home. Terumi-mae prepared oden. The family talked and laughed around the stove, and the atmosphere was good. Izuma, I have cultivated myself now and can sleep with you. Water Lily put the piece of meat into Kobayakawa Kazuma's bowl and winked gently. Everyone has desires, and the beautiful ninja Water Lily is no exception. Months of torture have made her very dependent on Kazuma Kobayakawa. Masado Nakamura looked at Water Lily, then at Kazuma Kobayakawa, and suggested, Izuma is away all year round and rarely comes back. Tonight, Water Lily can serve him with me. It's up to you, Masado-chan. Water Lily nodded, her face slightly red, and she agreed. Kazuma Kobayakawa was slightly startled. He hasn't spoken yet. How come you two veteran drivers have already discussed it? However, Kobayakawa Kazuma doesn't care about trivial matters. As the head of the family, it's time to talk about taking up the post of Konoha. Masado, Water Lily, I will go to Konoha for a mission next month. There is a family quota for this mission, and I plan to take Ming away, where she can get a better education. Kobayakawa Kazuma clearing his throat, he said suddenly. Are you going on a mission again? Masado looked a little lonely. She put a piece of potato into Kobayakawa Kazuma's bowl and actually cried a little. I will take care of the family, Kazuma. Water Lily kissed Kazuma Kobayakawa on the cheek and agreed. As a ninja, she knew how arduous the task of a ninja was. Kazuma Kobayakawa held Water Lily in his arms and suggested, Water Lily, let's use this month to have another child. Well, as long as it's for you, I'm willing to have a child. Water Lily nodded and agreed softly. At night, Kobayakawa Kazuma's room seemed quite lively. Terumi Mei, who was sitting outside the room, once again shed tears of regret. In order to revive the Terumi clan, Brother Yijun really paid too much. However, Terumi Mei also felt strange. Why does her heart beat fast every time she hears Ishin's brother shouting in pain? In the last month before leaving Mist Shinobi, Kazuma Kobayakawa was actively engaged in the cause of ninja. However, his luck was not very good this time, and he failed to succeed in a month. There was no success notification from the system. Giving birth is like this, it is a metaphysical thing, and very few people can succeed in it the first time. In the morning, Kazuma Kobayakawa put on a large backpack and a ninja forehead protector belonging to Mist Shinobi, and left the village with Terumi Mei. Then, the two went to the port, boarded the official ship belonging to Kaker, and headed for Konoha. The Third Ninja World War has just passed a few years ago, and all the ninja villages are now busy dealing with the mess after the war. Naturally, no one who is short-sighted will deliberately come to cause trouble for the Kingdom of Water. After 2 weeks of bumpy roads, Kazuma Kobayakawa arrived at Konoha village again. There is no fog that shrouds the village all year round. The sunshine is bright, the Japanese-style buildings look elegant, and the autumn leaves turn yellow, surrounding the village. Here, Kazuma Kobayakawa smelled the breath of freedom. When I came to Konoha, I was temporarily away from the civil war in Mist Shinobi and gained a lot of autonomy. It can be said that as a diplomat, as long as Kazuma Kobayakawa does not do anything too extreme, Mist Shinobi and Konoha will not care about him. Terumi Mei, who has never left Kaker in 18 years, looked at the stalls on the streets of Konoha, her eyes sparkling. There are many things here that she has never seen in Mist Shinobi. So sour, so sweet. Terumi Mei held a candied haws in one hand and an interesting-looking candy in the other. She took a lick of each and sighed. Kazuma Kobayakawa knew these two kinds of food. One was of course candied haws, and the other was candies, a specialty of the Land of Fire. It was a fine tradition for the Kunoichi to practice on festival days. There is a particular way to eat this candy. Seeing Terumi Mei about to bite it, Kazuma Kobayakawa felt a chill in his body, which was the fear in his memory. Don't use too much force to eat this kind of candy, especially not using your teeth. Kobayakawa Kazuma taught Terumi Mei how to eat candy. Is that so? Terumi Mei learned to eat according to Kazuma Kobayakawa's teachings. She pushed back her hair that was scattered around her temples, revealing her fair and slender neck, which was almost shining with snow-white light in the sun. The water stains clung to the sugar, glistening in the sunlight. Coupled with Terumi Mei's slightly red face, it looks like a world-famous painting. Kazuma Kobayakawa was stunned for a moment. He put his palm on Terumi Mei's head and touched the messy hair. After walking and stopping along the way, Kazuma Kobayakawa arrived at the north of Konoha village before it got dark, a location far away from the hinterland of Konoha. The courtyard covers a large area. When you open the door, a woman wearing a black bathrobe appears in front of you. She puts her hands on her lower abdomen and leans forward slightly, bowing at a low angle. Sir, what do you do for me? The woman asked softly. Terumi Mei is still doing the practice of eating sweets, and she always feels that the candy in her mouth is beating, which is a strange feeling. Kazuma Kobayakawa pointed to the mist shinobi forehead protector on his forehead and said, I'm here to find Mr. Juji Naoya to take over the task. The woman was slightly startled. He made way for Kobayakawa Kazuma and allowed Kobayakawa Kazuma and Terumi Mei to enter the courtyard. Please follow me. The woman led the way. Kobayakawa Kazuma and Terumi Mei followed each other and crossed the arch bridge with goldfish below. In the wooden room, Kazuma Kobayakawa saw Naoya Juji sitting on his knees in front of the desk, wearing a bathrobe and practicing calligraphy. I am Kobayakawa Kazuma, the newly promoted Jonin this year, here to take over your task. Kobayakawa Kazuma took out the letter that was placed close to his chest and placed it in front of Juji Naoya. Joji Naoya put the letter aside. He glanced at Kobayakawa Kazuma, extended his hand to express welcome, and said, Welcome, Kobayakawa Kazuma, you are really a young and promising Jonin. Kazuma Kobayakawa and Naoya Juji shook hands, and Naoya Juji introduced the mission to Kazuma Kobayakawa. As a diplomat, Kazuma Kobayakawa not only needs to find ways to search for various information about Konoha for Mist Shinobi, but he is also Kurigaku's talker. It can be said that this character is usually more civilian, and will only change into a Jonin costume when performing special tasks. Once upon a time, the person who stole the Three Tails sealing scroll was the diplomat of Cloud Shinobi Village and a Jonin. Kobayakawa Kazuma, as a diplomat, in addition to being responsible for negotiations, you also need to learn some food culture. Having good relations with the major ninja clans is the greatest value of you as a talker. You can be a little more unrestrained in your actions. As long as you don't harm Kurigaku's interests, the village will try its best to protect you. Juji Naoya walked out the door. It was already getting late, and Konoha village was dyed yellow by the sun, like an old photo. After being stationed in Konoha for 10 years, Juji Naoya did not have the chance to return to Kurigaku. He missed Mist Shinobi very much. Thank you for reminding me, Senior. Kobayakawa Kazuma picked up the scroll and read it again and again. There was a difficult thing waiting for him when he arrived. The cause of the matter is simple. One of the Chunin of Mist Shinobi had a slight conflict with the Hyuga clan during a mission, and was then killed by the clan leader Hyuga Hiashi with a gentle fist. It wasn't a big deal at first, but Mist Shinobi wanted to find an excuse to attack the Hyuga clan, and it would be best to get some benefits from the Hyuga clan. In the best case scenario, you might be able to get a white eye. The Byakugan is a kind of bloodline with strong observation ability and can influence the situation of the battle. It is of great use to the major ninja villages. Many ninja villages dream of getting a pair of Byakugan. However, the Hyuga clan also attaches great importance to the protection of the Byakugan. For so many years, not a pair of Byakugan has leaked out of Konoha. I'm finally going back to Kurigaku. My child should have become a Chunin. Juji Naoya stared blankly into the distance. That direction was exactly where Kurigaku was. Although his life in Konoha was more comfortable than in Kurigaku, his family was not around and he occasionally had trouble sleeping at night. The mission given by the third Mizukage and the great righteousness of the village are what support him. After a while, Kazuma Kobayakawa reviewed what happened in the past month and put down the scroll. Juji Naoya looked at Kobayakawa Kazuma and said, It's been a long time since I've fought to the death. Before I leave, can you do some exercise with me? Although the role of a diplomat is similar to that of a civilian, he has to face assassinations from many parties, and the requirements for strength are not low at all. Otherwise, only the Jonin of the village would not be able to hold the position. Knowing the strength of Kazuma Kobayakawa will help him return to Kurigaku with more confidence. Kobayakawa Kazuma followed Juji Naoya out of the embassy and found an open space in a remote place in Konoha village. Terumi Mei followed Kobayakawa Kazuma, licking the smaller and smaller Kinpei candy. Please give me more advice, Juji Naoya senpai. Taking out 2 shurikens from the ninja tool bag, Kobayakawa Kazuma started with the shurikens and launched an attack. Juji Naoya used the teleportation technique to move back, causing the 3 shurikens to be stuck straight into the soil. Then Juji Naoya quickly formed seals with his hands and took a quick breath of air. Si, Wei, Shen, Hai, Wu, Yin, fire style. Great Fireball Technique. A huge fireball flew towards Kazuma Kobayakawa, like a red sun, making Terumi Mei's face turn red. The characteristic of the Great Fireball is that the ninjutsu has a large range. When Jonin's chakra is used to use this move, its coverage area can be as large as a house, and it is not easy to dodge using the teleportation technique. Although he hasn't carried out a dangerous mission in more than 10 years, Juji Naoya is a veteran Jonin after all, and his ninjutsu is still astonishingly powerful. Kobayakawa Kazuma did not choose to avoid it. He formed the seals with his hands, Si, Chen, Mao, Yin, Zi, and Shu. At the end of the 6 seals, he opened his mouth and took in a large mouthful of air, making his mouth bulge. Fire Style. Dragon Fire Technique. Kazuma Kobayakawa opened his mouth, and the flames spewed out circled in front of his eyes, and then gradually changed into the shape of a dragon. As soon as the fire dragon came into contact with the Great Fireball, the flames of the Great Fireball were unable to advance even half an inch further. Then, the red flames gathered together and emitted blazing heat, causing the flames to turn white. Seeing that the Great Fireball technique was not completed, Juji Naoya no longer used chakra to maintain the Great Fireball, but quickly formed the same seal as Kobayakawa Kazuma, and then opened his mouth to spit out flames. Fire Style. Dragon Fire Technique. The 2 fire dragons thrust forward in a straight line and collided between the 2 of them. The blazing flames spread out in all directions, like a sea of fire. After all, Kobayakawa Kazuma's chakra volume was larger, and his flames were also stronger. He quickly swallowed 10 of Naoya's fire dragons and charged forward with the final power. Seeing that he was no match for ninjutsu, Juji Naoya quickly used the Shunshen technique to dodge. Kobayakawa Kazuma's fire dragon continued to move forward, burning through the giant tree in the distance. As expected of a newly promoted Jonin, it is not easy for a ninja to be promoted to 2 levels in a year. On the tree trunk nearby, Juji Naoya watched the fire dragon punch through several giant trees one after another, and couldn't help but marvel. Logically speaking, the Dragon Fire technique is a fire-style move that concentrates firepower on one point. An ordinary Jonin like him could spray dragon fire as thick as an arm, but Kazuma Kobayakawa used dragon fire as thick as a water tank, and it was not weak at all. It can only be said that Kazuma Kobayakawa's chakra volume is too huge. Izuma Ni is even more powerful. Even when facing Jonin, he can deal with it calmly. Terumi Mei was blown away by a wave of air caused by Kobayakawa Kazuma. She had Jinpei candy in her mouth and her cheeks were flushed with excitement. The stronger Kazuma Kobayakawa is, the greater the chance of the Terumi clan's revival, and one day they can return to their once warm home. Let's stop here. Seeing that Kobayakawa Kazuma wanted to take action again, Juji Naoya called out to Kobayakawa Kazuma. He landed in front of Kobayakawa Kazuma and said, "Just rest tonight. It's not easy to come from a long distance. I'll take care of you. The seniors of the 10 branches can arrange it." Kobayakawa Kazuma stopped moving. Ninjutsu battles were not serious matters after all. The serious matter at the moment should be to find a suitable kunoichi and then give birth to a child. As a diplomat of Mist Shinobi, he naturally had a certain status in Konoha, which made it easier for him to find a kunoichi to have children. However, giving birth to a child is a very costly thing. Kazuma Kobayakawa does not intend to waste his energy on ordinary female ninjas. His goal is to be a well-known ninja clan in Konoha with blood inheritance limits. Speaking of Konoha, we have to mention the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan who founded the village. Today, the Senju clan is no longer openly active, but the Uchiha clan still exists and is a wealthy clan in Konoha. If you can marry a woman from the Uchiha clan and give birth to a child with blood inheritance limits, you can gain even more power. Kobayakawa Kazuma was not aware of the situation in Konoha for the time being. He and Juji Naoya returned to their residence to have dinner and chatted about the situation in Konoha. Nowadays, the 4th Hokage of Konoha has died because of sealing the 9-tails demon fox. The 3rd Hokage controls Konoha village, and with the help of Danzo, it is prosperous. 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen has been deeply influenced by Senju Tobarama since he was a child, and completely inherited Senju Tobarama's will of fire. If he fell down on the road, 3rd generation could curse the 18th generation of the Uchiha clan in his heart, then spit out a mouthful of thick phlegm and add, "Evil Uchiha." After decades of unremitting efforts by the second Hokage and the third Hokage, the Uchiha clan was finally marginalized by the village. Today, Uchiha not only loses access to the core power of the village, but his relationship with the other ninja clan is also gradually alienated. This situation naturally made the ninja village, which coveted the power of the Uchiha clan, think about it. Many ninja villages, including Kurigakure, were trying to win over the Uchiha clan. Kurigakure, the ninja village that first came into contact with the Uchiha clan, started this huge plan when the third Mizukage was still in office. Kobayakawa Kazuma silently wrote down all the details. There are still too many things that he needs to know about Konoha village now. 3 days later, Juji Naoya left, and Kobayakawa Kazuma took over Juji Naoya's position and became Mist Shinobi's diplomat. Mist Shinobi arranged many spies in Konoha. Although some of the Mist Shinobi withdrew after the civil war broke out, there are still more than 10 ninjas left here. 7 of them are secretly spying, taking orders directly from Kurigakure and not Kazuma Kobayakawa. There are also 5 people on standby at the embassy. These 5 people are Kobayakawa Kazuma's confidants. Ming, come with me to take a look. After lunch, Kobayakawa Kazuma called Terumi Mei out. He planned to find a few acquaintances first and learn some things from them. For example, whether Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, has defected, and how far Konoha's plan to destroy the Uchiha clan has progressed. Terumi Mei changed into a yukata, stepped on wooden clogs, and followed Kobayakawa Kazuma. She was very beautiful and attracted many men's attention along the way. Kobayakawa Kazuma walked around and stopped. The last time he came to Konoha was during the Chunin exam. The time and scope of activities were limited, so he had no chance to understand this huge village. Now that he has free time, he has come into contact with the full picture of Konoha village for the first time. Today's Konoha adopts an open policy, and therefore, Konoha's business is very prosperous, and goods from almost all countries can be bought in Konoha. Ninjas and ordinary people live together, and even ordinary families may have a ninja hidden in their homes. Whether it is the number of ninjas or the power of ninjas, Konoha is far superior to Kurigakure. It can be said that the current Konoha is much stronger than the Konoha 10 years later. Hokage Rock stood tall in the distance. In front of the park bench, Sarutobi Asuma was facing Yuhi Kurenai. The two seemed to be talking about something. The straight man Sarutobi Asuma dodged his gaze and a faint blush appeared on his face. Yuhi Kurenai frowned and looked at the man in front of him helplessly, and complained, "You guy, if you have anything to say, just say it directly." Sarutobi Asuma's face became redder. He touched the back of his head and hesitantly said, "That is, in order to know the jade mentioned by my old man, I will become the guardian 12 ninjas of the Fire Country Daimyo. Before that, I think. Sarutobi Asuma's heart beat very fast, and the word, date, could not be said. Seeing Sarutobi Asuma's helpless look, Yuhi Kurenai became more annoyed and could only secretly complain that Sarutobi Asuma had no manliness and was like a woman. She already knew what Sarutobi Asuma wanted to say, but he was still hesitating and looked like a fool. Suddenly, Kurenai caught a glimpse of the distance. She was slightly startled and opened her eyes wide. It must be a lie. How could Kobayakawa Kazuma appear in Konoha? Kurenai was still quite impressed with Kobayakawa Kazuma. After all, apart from a weirdo like Kobayakawa Kazuma, whose man would ask a female ninja to have a child when he first met her? Hey, Kurenai waved to Kobayakawa Kazuma. Kobayakawa Kazuma walked towards Kurenai. An acquaintance came and information came. What a coincidence, Miss Kurenai. I was just worrying about how to understand Konoha, and you showed up. Kobayakawa Kazuma looked at Sarutobi Asuma, wondering if the two were dating. As Kurenai's official match, Sarutobi Asuma was quite responsible, although the old man was a little shy. Kurenai smiled slightly. This is what a man should do. He said whatever he wanted to say. He even made women give birth to children with confidence. I have time today to take you to learn about Konoha village. If you have any questions, you can consult me. Kurenai patted her chest and promised with a sense of pride. Kazuma Kobayakawa took Kurenai away in front of Sarutobi Asuma. Sarutobi Asuma looked at the two of them leaving in surprise and sighed deeply. He lit a cigarette, put it in his mouth and took a long drag. He looked up at the sky and was stunned. The date was ruined again. The three of Kobayakawa were walking aimlessly on the streets of Konoha. Yuhi Kurenai couldn't help but ask, "Kobayakawa, why did you come to Konoha?" "I was promoted to Jonin, and the diplomats who stayed in Konoha happened to be retiring, so I was asked to take over." Kobayakawa Kazuma pointed to the mist shinobi forehead protector on his forehead and said. Kurenai Yuhi was slightly startled. It had only been 1 year since the Chunin exam ended, and Kazuma Kobayakawa had already become a Jonin. When they first met, she thought Kazuma Kobayakawa had no ninja talent. After all, 20-year-old Kazuma Kobayakawa was still just a genin. "Congratulations. After becoming a Jonin, you must have a lot to do, right?" Kurenai Yuhi sighed slightly, with a bit of disappointment flashing in her eyes. When they first met, she couldn't quite like Kazuma Kobayakawa. Only a year later, she began to feel that she was not worthy of Kazuma Kobayakawa. Although the Chunin exam is very difficult, Chunin can only be regarded as the backbone of a village, while Jonin is the elite of the village. Every Jonin has extraordinary strength and has the ability to complete A-level and even S-level tasks. As strong as Konoha, there are only 36 Jonin on the surface. These Jonin are distributed throughout the ninja world to perform tasks, and less than 1/3 of them are permanently stationed in Konoha village. There are indeed many things, but chatting with Ms. Yuhi Kurenai makes me happiest. Kobayakawa Kazuma calmly shook Yuhi Kurenai's hand, and gradually led the conversation to Konoha Sanin and other topics. Yuhi Kurenai's reaction was very natural. From her reaction, it can be judged that Orochimaru has not yet defected to Konoha, and those taboo experiments have not yet been exposed to the fluorescent light. After wandering around for a while, Kobayakawa Kazuma took Yuhi Kurenai into the restaurant where they had pufferfish together a year ago, and ordered the pufferfish set meal again. The two chatted while eating, and they didn't separate until the sun was almost setting. Yuhi Hong returned home in a good mood. "I really didn't expect that a year later, Kazuma Kobayakawa would still remember the place where she ate pufferfish for the first time." Kobayakawa Kazuma also brought Terumi Mei back to the embassy. Through Yuhi Hong, he had a general understanding of the situation in Konoha village. Nowadays, the third Hokage is in his prime, and his name as a ninjutsu professor is resounding throughout the ninja world. Uchiha Itachi joined Anbu and gained the title of genius. Uchiha Shisui is still alive, and he started Mangekyo Sharingan at a young age. He is the real genius of the village, and he is unparalleled in the limelight for a while. Today's Uchiha clan, with the blessing of two geniuses, is no longer satisfied with just being a Konoha guard. The clan's desire to return to the center of Konoha's power is getting stronger and stronger. Turning off the lights in the room, Kazuma Kobayakawa fell asleep. In the morning, just after dawn, a masked mist shinobi ninja knelt on one knee in front of the door of Kobayakawa Kazuma's room. She knocked on the door and calmly narrated. "The third Hokage visited Hyuga Hiashi, the leader of the Hyuga clan yesterday, and put pressure on the Hyuga clan to quickly resolve their disputes with us." "I understand." Kazuma Kobayakawa stretched himself. He had just taken office, but trouble was already coming. "Since we want to take advantage of the opportunity to blackmail the Hyuga clan, we might as well find a Kunoichi from the Hyuga clan and bring her back to have children." Kazuma Kobayakawa changed into his ninja uniform, tied a white cloth strip for troublemaking on his forehead, and took two Chunin from Kurigakure to the residence of the Hyuga clan. The wooden walls had a bright color. Walking in the alley, Kazuma Kobayakawa and the other two were surrounded by people from the Hyuga clan. Among the crowd, there would occasionally be individual ninjas with white eyes. Kazuma Kobayakawa met a woman with an X mark on her forehead, turned on the system to observe the other person's talent, and then sighed silently. "Ninja qualifications are E and beauty is D. The qualifications are so poor. Having a child with this kind of female ninja is a waste of time. You guys, do you still dare to come?" Suddenly, a woman in a yukata walked out of the crowd and stood in front of Kazuma Kobayakawa. She stretched out her right foot forward, posing 8 trigrams palms the starting position. The two Chunin who followed Kazuma Kobayakawa had serious expressions on their faces. One of them even touched the ninja tool bag on his waist, unable to resist taking action. Before Juji Naoya left office, these two ninjas visited the Hyuga clan and were deeply impressed by this woman from the Hyuga clan. This woman is a gentle fist who is a direct descendant of the Hyuga clan, and is very powerful. She can easily defeat Chunin like them, and can even tangle with Juji Naoya for a few moves. Hyuga Hanabi. Kazuma Kobayakawa looked at this woman in surprise. Her long hair reached her waist and was tied in the middle of the hair. Her appearance was exactly the same as Hyuga Hanabi's as an adult. However, Kazuma Kobayakawa quickly denied the identity of the Kunoichi in front of him. In any case, the person in front of him could never be Hyuga Hanabi. One is that the age is wrong, and the other is that Hyuga Hanabi will never be branded as caged bird. Obviously, this woman is from the Hyuga branch house and may have a close relationship with Hyuga Hiashi. Opening the system, Kobayakawa Kazuma slightly confirmed the other party's situation. Name: Hyuga Chan. Age: 19. Beauty: B+. Ninja qualification: C. Bloodline limit: white eyes. There is a caged bird mark on her forehead, and her appearance rating is actually B+. I believe she is one of the best beauties in the Hyuga clan. Kazuma Kobayakawa was still thinking about the identity of the opponent. Hyuga Chan hit 8 trigrams palms, and the target of the attack was Kazuma Kobayakawa, who was standing at the front. Kazuma Kobayakawa didn't dare to take on 8 trigrams palms. Gentle Fist is a secret ninjutsu of the Hyuga clan. It can not only block the chakra acupuncture points, but is also extremely harmful to the human body. Unhurriedly, Kobayakawa Kazuma made an ugly mark with his right hand. The moment he was hit by 8 trigrams palms, his body turned into a wooden stake. Hyuga Chan's eyes suddenly opened wide and he looked back in surprise. This man, unlike other ninjas in Kurigakure, performed the body replacement technique with just one seal. Moreover, the speed is so fast that even if you can see through the movements with your Byakugan, your body cannot keep up. The real Kazuma Kobayakawa appeared behind Hyuga Chan. With a backhand knife, he chopped Hyuga Chan down in a pool of blood. The Byakugan of the Hyuga clan is nothing more than that. Even if you can see through my ninjutsu, you can't keep up with my movements. Kobayakawa Kazuma slowly put the ninja sword back into the scabbard and gave Hyuga Chan a contemptuous look. Although the back of the knife he used was slashing with all his strength, it was not enough to kill the opponent with one strike. At most, the injury could be healed with a few days of practice. Moreover, Hyuga Chan's daring to block the road must have been approved by the leader of the Hyuga clan. Otherwise, how could an ordinary Hyuga branch house person dare to hurt Ambassador Mist Shinobi? This small conflict must be resolved beautifully by Kazuma Kobayakawa. His strength not only represents Mist Shinobi's strength, but also represents Mist Shinobi's attitude. This strength can help him get more in the subsequent negotiations. Much initiative. Hyuga Chan watched Kazuma Kobayakawa leave, digging his fingers into the ground, with deep reluctance in the corners of his eyes. After all, I still couldn't help you, brother. Hyuga Chan felt very uneasy. Seeing Kobayakawa Kazuma's strength, the 2 Chunin behind Kobayakawa Kazuma were slightly surprised. The woman who even Juji Naoya Senpai couldn't easily deal with was actually chopped down by Kobayakawa Kazuma with just one sword. Jonin Kobayakawa Kazuma was definitely born from the battlefield. Did you see it? If you dare to go against Kurigakure, this will be your fate. A Chunin stood in front of Kazuma Kobayakawa and warned the onlookers of the Hyuga tribe. Kazuma Kobayakawa showed his strength. Of course they have to be stronger. This is not a dogfight, but a display of Kurigakure's attitude. This is what negotiation is like. Strength at the negotiation table is obtained by strength on the battlefield. Since we have won on the battlefield, how can we be weak at the negotiation table? Kobayakawa Kazuma is also very satisfied with the style of these 2 followers. They must show their aggressive side in front of the enemy. Gentleness is reserved for family members. After Kazuma Kobayakawa left, a man came out of the crowd. He held Hyuga Chan in his arms, and when he looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa, his eyes were full of hatred. Moving forward, Kobayakawa Kazuma walked into the courtyard where the clan leader was, pushed open the door and walked in, until he came to the first room facing the courtyard door. The empty room was paved with wooden floors. Hyuga Hiashi was sitting on his knees in the middle of the room. On the wall behind him, there was a word, Dao, hanging on it. Seeing the 3 of them walking in, Hyuga Hiashi was slightly startled, and then bowed his head respectfully. I'm extremely sorry. It was my mistake that led to the death of the mist shinobi ninja. I will bear all the mistakes. Hyuga Hiashi apologized. Kobayakawa Kazuma looked at Hyuga Hiashi coldly. He said nothing. The head of the Hyuga clan is so weak to the outside world. This is not a qualified clan leader. However, he was negotiating on behalf of Mist Shinobi, so of course the weaker the other party, the better. Seeing that Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't speak for a long time, a chunin behind him immediately understood and yelled. You fool, is that all you need to do is just apologize? Our compatriots died at your hands, I want to sacrifice your life to pay homage to that guy. As he said that, Chunin made a gesture of drawing a sword to kill someone, and even the ninja sword was about to be unsheathed. In fact, none of the three people present had any friendship with the deceased mist shinobi compatriot. The most exaggerated example was Kazuma Kobayakawa. He only found out the name of that compatriot this morning. Hiashi. Kobayakawa Kazuma pushed the Chunin's ninja sword back into the scabbard with his hand, and then spoke to Hyuga Hiashi, who was knocked on the ground. After calling him by name, he said, You don't want to do anything about this, to the point where Mist Shinobi and Konoha go to war. Cold sweat broke out on Hyuga Hiashi's forehead. This newly appointed diplomat was not only powerful, but also had a stronger attitude. It seems that they are probably the main militant faction in Kurigakure. Yes. Yes, Hyuga Hiashi replied in the affirmative. We, Mist Shinobi, are not unreasonable. Kobayakawa Kazuma said calmly. It is only natural that one should kill with one's life. Hand over the murderer Hyuga Chan to us and we will no longer pursue this matter. As soon as these words came out, Hyuga Hiashi was stunned. The murderer was obviously him. When did he become Hyuga Chan? Even the two chunin behind Kazuma Kobayakawa were confused. They looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa in surprise. The murderer was obviously Hyuga Hiashi. Ambassador, did you remember the wrong name? But immediately, the two chunin reacted. The person who spoke was Kazuma Kobayakawa, and the one who took responsibility was Kazuma Kobayakawa. They just needed to follow Kazuma Kobayakawa's ideas. Hiashi-sama, are you sure you want to become an enemy of Kurigakure for the sake of a clan member? A chunin shouted hurriedly at Kazuma Kobayakawa's signal. Hey, Hyuga Hiashi, are you mute? Don't you see that Mr. Kobayakawa is reasoning with you? Although you keep saying that you want to solve the problem, we Mist Shinobi have not seen the slightest bit of the Hyuga clan in you. Sincerity. Another chunin followed closely and criticized Hyuga Hiashi. Hyuga Hiashi's mind was running rapidly. He understood very well that all the ninja villages wanted the blood inheritance limit of the Hyuga clan, so it was very likely that they would make requests related to the Byakugan. Unexpectedly, Kazuma Kobayakawa not only didn't want him, the head of the family, to apologize but wanted Hyuga Chan. Hyuga Chan is the youngest sister of Hyuga Hiashi. She was engraved with the seal of Caged Bird when she was very young. She is a chess piece that exists to protect the clan and can be discarded at any time. This newly appointed diplomat of Mist Shinobi doesn't know the existence of the Caged Bird seal. Does he think that he can get the Byakugan by just grabbing a random person from the branch house? After thinking about it, Hyuga Hiashi already had it in his mind. Conclusion. Hyuga Hiashi, who had been kowtowing and apologizing, raised his head. He looked at Kobayakawa Kazuma and asked, Hand over the murderer Hyuga Chan. Is this the end of the matter? Although Hyuga Chan is his sister, for the continuation of the Hyuga clan and to protect the clan, the Hyuga branch house has long had the consciousness of sacrifice. And with the existence of the Caged Bird seal, Byakugan's secret will not be revealed. That's right, Kobayakawa Kazuma nodded. How much benefit he could extort from the Hyuga clan was decided by him as a diplomat. And he chose to take Hyuga Chan back to restore his life. However, don't think about using a corpse to fool me. I know that the Caged Bird unique to your Hyuga clan can destroy brain cells and make the Byakugan completely ineffective after death, right? After a pause, Kazuma Kobayakawa added. He actually knows about Caged Bird. Even though he knows about the existence of Caged Bird, he still calls out Hyuga Chan. Is it really just for the sake of justice? Hyuga Hiashi's heart felt slightly cold, and he instantly guessed something. I know, I will give you Mist Shinobi an explanation. Hyuga Hiashi asked Kobayakawa and Kazuma to wait in the room. He walked out and found Hyuga Chan. Brother, do those people from Mist Shinobi still want the supercilious eyes of our Hyuga clan? In the room, Hyuga Chan was sitting on his knees in front of the mirror, exposing his back. A man was helping her apply medicine and bandage her wounds. Hyuga Hiashi sat aside. He nodded and sighed. Kaido, yes, Kurigakure changed the speaker. This speaker no longer demands my life, but calls you by name on the pretext of handing over the murderer. Quote. You want me? Hyuga Chan was slightly startled. She looked at herself in the mirror and suddenly smiled. Don't these guys from Mist Shinobi know about Caged Bird? Don't they know that the branch house exists to protect the clan? He knows, so he wants you to live by name. Hyuga Hiashi sighed, and said you will definitely suffer inhuman torture when I send you there this time. They will probably make you succumb to Kurigakure. For the sake of the family, if necessary, commit suicide. Hyuga Hiashi thinks he has anticipated Kazuma Kobayakawa's thoughts. If the Byakugan cannot be obtained, then the effect of raising a member of the Hyuga clan in captivity will be the same. However, these guys from Mist Shinobi still underestimated the bond between family members and the will of fire in Konoha village. He believes that Hyuga Chan will never live an ignoble existence and be willing to become Mist Shinobi's lackey. Hyuga Chan clenched her fist tightly and nodded slowly. As early as the day she was engraved with Caged Bird, she was ready to sacrifice for the clan at any time. Now, it's time to use your life to fulfill your promise. For the sake of the Hyuga clan, hand me over. Hyuga Chan said firmly. The man who was dressing Hyuga Chan's wound was still there, and the gauze in his hand fell to the ground. He couldn't accept this fact for a while. Chief, why do we agree to Kurigakure's unreasonable request? Why was my fiancé taken away by Mist Shinobi? This is Konoha, our village. What right do they, Mist Shinobi, have to do this? The man turned around. The hatred in his eyes could no longer be concealed, and he rushed out of the room to find Kazuma Kobayakawa. Ma'am, Hyuga Hiashi stopped the man and said earnestly, do you know how hard won this piece is? How many ninja blood was used to buy this piece? Since you are a member of the famous Hyuga clan, members should protect this piece. Hyuga Masado was stunned on the spot. He felt that his legs could no longer support his body, and he collapsed to the ground, slamming his hands on the ground. Masado Hyuga roared incompetently. The struggles of several people were not known to Kazuma Kobayakawa, and Kazuma Kobayakawa, who was tasting tea and quietly waiting for Hyuga Hiashi to come back. As long as Hyuga Chan can be taken away, today's blackmail is quite successful. Even Kurigakure has nothing to say. Of course Kurigakure wanted the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, but everyone knew that was impossible. Not to mention the life of one Mist Shinobi Chunin, even the lives of the 7 ninja swordsmen cannot be exchanged for a pair of white eyes. In comparison, taking away Hyuga Chan is the most cost-effective. After a while, Hyuga Hiashi came back with Hyuga Masado and Hyuga Chan. The three of them sat across from Kobayakawa and Kazuma. Long wait, Mr. Kobayakawa. Hyuga Hiashi faced Kazuma Kobayakawa and said solemnly, the murderer of your compatriots, Hyuga Chan, has been brought to me. Hyuga Chan crossed his hands on the ground, kowtowed to the 3 people of Mist Shinobi, and said, I killed your compatriots, and I am willing to accept the punishment of Mist Shinobi for this sin. Kazuma Kobayakawa looked at Hyuga Chan. After confirming that it was him, he nodded. It was time to try to obtain the blood inheritance limit of Byakugan. Hyuga Chan kowtowed and apologized, and the atmosphere in the room became silent for a while. Kobayakawa Kazuma calmly winked at the Chunin beside him. The Chunin immediately understood what Kobayakawa Kazuma meant. He stood up, pulled out the ninja sword from his waist, and shouted. It's you who killed our compatriots, and I want to avenge him. This is the result of many years of working experience as a diplomat. The 2 Chunin brought by Kazuma Kobayakawa knew what role they should play with just one look. Hyuga Chan's face was almost pressed to the floor. The moment she saw Chunin draw the sword, she subconsciously closed her eyes. Is life going to end here? Memories of the past emerged one after another, and the faces of his parents appeared in front of him. His elder brother, Hyuga Hiashi, had been so gentle and strong since he was a child, and worked hard to protect every Hyuga clan member from harm. And she, Hyuga Chan, has been deeply attracted by Hiashi's resolute back since she was a child. She is not a clan member and cannot protect the Hyuga clan, but she can carve a caged bird and protect her brother as a clan member forever. Although there are still many things I want to do, I want to take the train to the land of snow, I want to wear a pure white wedding dress, I want to fall in love with someone. But now, there is no chance, he will die by Mist Shinobi's sword. Hyuga Chan doesn't feel much unwillingness in her heart. She knows that this is the mission of Branch House, and this is her mission. At this moment, Kobayakawa Kazuma also stood up. He pushed back the ninja sword on the Chunin's waist, pinched the other person's collar and said, Hyuga Chan's crimes should be handed over to the village for trial. Fujiwara, are you trying to undermine the righteousness of our Mist Shinobi? Chunin withdrew his ninja sword, bowed to Kazuma Kobayakawa, and apologized respectfully. I'm extremely sorry, Mr. Kobayakawa, I was too excited. It's not your fault. I know that you had a deep friendship with the dead compatriot. Kobayakawa Kazuma patted Hyuga Chan's shoulder and consoled him. Although, everyone knew that no one present had any friendship with the deceased Mist Shinobi compatriot. Mist Shinobi Chunin sat back, and Kazuma Kobayakawa grabbed Hyuga Chan's chin and raised the other person's head. She looked at Hyuga Chan, and the more she looked at her, the more beautiful she felt. The matter of obtaining the Byakugan blood succession limit rests with Hyuga Chan. Hyuga Chan bit the corner of her mouth fiercely. When she looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa, her eyes showed fear and deep disgust. She didn't believe that the people of Mist Shinobi could have any good intentions. The reason why Kazuma Kobayakawa saved her was just to maximize the effect of the Byakugan. Next, she may be punished more horribly than death. Now that this negotiation has been successfully concluded, Kobayakawa Kazuma did not stay too long. He used the death of a Chunin as an excuse to exchange for a Kunoichi, which was considered an explanation to Kurigakure. Wait a minute, where are you Mist Shinobi taking Chan? As soon as he walked out of the Patriarch's courtyard, Kazuma Kobayakawa saw a menacing woman with a pair of iconic white eyes, squinting, and appeared it is half opened, and there is no caged bird mark on its forehead. Kobayakawa Kazuma was slightly startled. He silently opened the system and examined the other party. Name, Hyuga Haruka. Age, 29. Beauty, B. Ninja qualification, B. Bloodline limit, white eyes. He belongs to the Hyuga clan and has a white-eyed blood inheritance but no caged bird mark. Kobayakawa Kazuma raised the corner of his mouth slightly. If he guessed correctly, the person in front of him is Hyuga Hiashi's wife. I don't have to take away Hyuga Chan. Kazuma Kobayakawa stared at Hyuga Haruka and said, if you are willing to take her place. For Kazuma Kobayakawa, Hyuga Chan is indeed not irreplaceable. Although the Hyuga Haruka in front of him is not as beautiful as the young Hyuga Chan, he is better than the pure one in the blood inheritance limit. Hyuga Chan knew that Kazuma Kobayakawa was planning the Byakugan again. If Hyuga Haruka without the caged bird mark was taken away, the secret of the Byakugan would fall into the hands of Mist Shinobi. Sister-in-law, you don't need to meddle in other people's business. One person should do the work, and the person who killed Mist Shinobi should atone for his sins. Hyuga Chan almost finished his words with a roar. If Hyuga Haruka is taken away, all efforts will be in vain. Hyuga Haruka glanced at Hyuga Chan who had made up her mind. She couldn't bear to lower her head and a tear slipped from the corner of her eye. I'm sorry, Chan. I made you feel wrong. Kobayakawa Kazuma couldn't help but laugh. She was indeed Hyuga Hiashi's wife. She could give birth to Hanabi and Hinata, ninjas with bloodline limits. I believe the purity of the Byakugan must be very high. Although there was no chance to complete the exchange, Kazuma Kobayakawa was not discouraged. When he passed by Hyuga Haruka, he patted him on the shoulder and said specifically, sure enough, how can you Hyuga clan members be willing to sacrifice for a branch house? After saying that, Kobayakawa Kazuma took Hyuga Chan and left. Hyuga lowered her head, bit her lower lip tightly, and cried silently. The person who made the mistake this time was obviously Hyuga Hiashi, but the injured person was Hyuga Chan. If Hyuga Chan had not been born into the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Chan would have married a good family and lived happily ever after. Kazuma Kobayakawa specially led Hyuga Chan through the Hyuga clan's residence in a swagger. The two Mist Shinobi Chunin behind him played their supporting roles perfectly and shouted loudly. Did you see it? This is what happens to our compatriots. Hyuga Chan, she will receive the cruelest punishment from Mist Shinobi. This move was Kobayakawa Kazuma's idea, in order to completely break through Hyuga Chan's psychological defense and let Hyuga Chan see clearly the ruthlessness of the Hyuga clan, and then follow him to have children without hesitation. However, in a corner that Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't see, a masked man quietly left the Hyuga tribe. He was wearing a combat uniform with a ninja bag on his thigh and waist. After walking for more than half an hour on a short journey, Kobayakawa Kazuma left the Hyuga clan's territory. Behind him was Hyuga Chan, and behind Hyuga Chan were two Mist Shinobi Chunin. The further north you go, the more remote the location becomes and the fewer people you meet. Soon, Kobayakawa Kazuma approached the embassy. At this moment, several shurikens were shot from the big tree in front of his sight, and Kazuma Kobayakawa used the teleportation technique to dodge them. A man wearing black tights and covering his face fell from the tree crown, and several shurikens were fired out again, flying towards Kobayakawa Kazuma. Kobayakawa Kazuma unhurriedly drew out his ninja sword, and cut down all the shurikens with one blow. The moment he saw the masked man, the first thing that came to his mind was Hyuga Hiashi, but he immediately rejected it. Chapter 51. Hyuga Hiashi would not do something so stupid. Hyuga Hiashi handed over Hyuga Chan just to resolve the conflict with Mist Shinobi. He would never cut him off halfway. Moreover, the person who came was very weak and could never be the leader of the Hyuga clan. The two ninjas behind Kazuma Kobayakawa rushed forward, one used the water wave technique to cover, and the other pulled out a ninja sword and started a close combat with the masked man. 3 minutes later, the masked man was subdued by two Chunin of Mist Shinobi and pinned to the ground. Then, let me see who you are. Kobayakawa Kazuma took off his mask. Under the mask was a green and immature face, with an X carved on the forehead and a caged bird mark, and a pair of white eyes. Apparently, it's someone from the Hyuga branch house. Give it back to me. Give Chan back to me, you Mist Shinobi guy. Masado Hyuga struggled and roared at Kazuma Kobayakawa. Kobayakawa Kazuma was really happy. There really was a big grudge who dared to intercept people. With this little strength, he dared to steal people from Jonin. However, the person in front of me seems to have a close relationship with Hyuga Chan. Acquaintance. Kobayakawa Kazuma looked back at Hyuga Chan and asked. Hyuga Chan couldn't bear to close his eyes and said against his will, no. I don't know this guy. Really? Kazuma Kobayakawa smiled. He pulled out his ninja sword, put it on Masado Hyuga's neck, and threatened, if you don't know me, I will have to deal with business. The one who attacked Mist Shinobi ambassador, you Hyuga clan are so bold. Now, if Hyuga Hiashi doesn't give a blank look, this matter can't be solved. Hyuga Chan had long been prepared to see Masado killed, but unexpectedly, the cunning Kobayakawa Kazuma did not kill Hyuga Masado, but was prepared to use this incident as an excuse to ask Hyuga Hiashi for a wink. He is my fiancé, and what he did has nothing to do with the Hyuga clan. Under the threat of Kazuma Kobayakawa, Hyuga Chan had no choice but to reveal the truth. Kobayakawa Kazuma was slightly startled. It turned out that Hyuga Chan actually had a fiancé. Thanks to the appearance of this fiancé, Kobayakawa Kazuma, who was still thinking about how to force Hyuga Chan to submit, found a breakthrough. Although Hyuga Chan couldn't let Hyuga Chan see the ruthless side of the Hyuga clan, if he used the opponent's leverage to threaten him, the result would be the same. I really want to let him go, I really want to pretend that nothing happened, but I can't find an excuse, Chan. Kobayakawa Kazuma put the ninja sword back into the scabbard, and he sighed, looking very serious. Looking embarrassed. Kill or behead him as you wish. Hyuga said firmly, but what happened today was Masado's own decision, and everything he did had nothing to do with the Hyuga clan. Chan, am I really not important? In your heart, who is my fiancé? Hyuga Masado looked at Hyuga Chan, tears welled up in his eyes. Seeing that his fiancé only has the Hyuga family in his heart was filled with despair. Hyuga Chan closed her eyes tightly and said nothing. To her, her fiancé was indeed not as important as the Hyuga family. The mission of the Hyuga branch house is to protect the clan. She can die for the clan, and so can Masado Hyuga. I really want to believe that this is your fiancé's personal behavior, but how can I return my life to Kaker? Kobayakawa Kazuma spread his hands and asked rather helplessly. After all, if Masado Hyuga's behavior is raised to the level of a ninja, Kurigakure can gain more benefits through negotiation. Hyuga Chan bit his lip. Listening to Kazuma Kobayakawa's tone, this matter still needs to be discussed, but conditions must be made that satisfy Kazuma Kobayakawa. Missed Shinobi's Jonin, you have such a bad character. Hyuga Chan complained about Kobayakawa Kazuma, and then asked, so, what do you want? It's very simple. Just obey all my orders. Not only can I let your fiancé go, but you can also pretend that nothing has happened. Kobayakawa Kazuma spoke and slowly stated his request. He is not worried that Hyuga Chan will refuse, in which case Hyuga Chan will be worthless and he will give it to Kurigakure. Hyuga Chan's eyes widened slightly, and then he showed a wry smile. I actually don't have a choice, right? Kazuma Kobayakawa shook his head. Of course, he gave Hyuga Chan a chance to choose. One was to be destroyed by Kurigakure, and the other was to give birth to a child for himself. Seeing that Hyuga Chan had agreed, Kobayakawa Kazuma said to the two Chunin men, let him go and pretend that what happened today never happened. But, a Chunin wanted to say something. After all, this was a rare feat. But when he saw Kazuma Kobayakawa's cold eyes, the Chunin swallowed what he wanted to say, and he let Masado Hyuga go. Hyuga Masado left lonely. He looked back at Hyuga Chan from time to time, his eyes full of reluctance. Chan, wait for me. I will definitely save you. Suddenly, Masado Hyuga shouted. He couldn't hold back the tears anymore. He didn't dare to look back and ran away from here. Kobayakawa Kazuma took Hyuga Chan back to the embassy office and said, Chan, it's time for you to fulfill your promise and have a child with me. Hyuga Chan's body tensed up, and she put her hands on her clothes as if she was going to die. Not long after, a common storyline appeared in the office. Hyuga Chan seemed to have accepted her fate. She did not dare to disobey Kazuma Kobayakawa's orders and kept doing things that she was ashamed of. The afternoon sun is bright and dazzling, and Konoha village in autumn has a refreshing autumn feeling. Although the seeds have not yet been successfully planted, Kazuma Kobayakawa is not in a hurry. Giving birth depends on the pregnancy, and even if the pregnancy comes, it cannot be stopped. At noon, Kazuma Kobayakawa was enjoying pork cutlet rice. Terumi Mei and Hyuga Chan were sitting on the side, eating the same food as Kazuma Kobayakawa. I'm talking about you. Hyuga Chan took the bowl and chopsticks and suddenly asked, Kobayakawa Kazuma, what exactly do you want to do? Since you want to steal the Hyuga clan's blood inheritance limit, wouldn't it be easier to hand me over to Mist Shinobi? These days, although Kazuma Kobayakawa forced her to do a lot of things she didn't want to do, he was not tortured as hard as she imagined. In fact, Kazuma Kobayakawa had not yet reported her matter to Kurigakure. Kazuma Kobayakawa glanced at Hyuga Chan. He really wanted to steal the blood inheritance limit of the Hyuga clan, but he could only do this stealing by himself. If I hand you over, you will never be able to come back to Konoha. Will you let go of your clan members? Kobayakawa Kazuma asked with a hint of threat in his tone. Hyuga Chan was slightly startled, holding the chopsticks tightly in her right hand. She had been prepared to die for a long time, but now, Kazuma Kobayakawa's words made him shake in his heart. If she could live well, of course she didn't want to die. She still wanted to ride the train in the land of snow, and she also wanted to have a vigorous love. She still had nostalgia for this world. I would like to remind you that the Hyuga clan will not allow the blood successor boundary to leak out. If this child inherits the blood successor boundary, he will never be handed over to Kurigakure. Hyuga Chan said seriously, with some determination in her heart. Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't answer. Of course he knew that Hyuga Chan didn't really want to give birth to a child for him. Everything was just a threat. However, Kobayakawa Kazuma was quite reasonable. He didn't have to win a woman's heart. Letting Hyuga Chan give birth to a child is a lofty strategic goal, which even involves whether he can prevent the Mist Shinobi civil war. Ms. Hyuga, I'm going shopping with Ming later, so you can come too. Kobayakawa Kazuma sent an invitation to Hyuga Chan. Always keeping Hyuga Chan in the room is not good for physical and mental health, nor is it good for pregnancy. Give birth to children. Going out to relax is something you still have to do occasionally. Hyuga Chan looked at Kobayakawa Kazuma, with a sneer on his lips, and asked, "Aren't you afraid that I will run away?" "It's up to you, if you're not afraid that Mist Shinobi will cause trouble for the Hyuga clan." Kobayakawa Kazuma smiled. Of course, he was not afraid of Hyuga Chan's escape. It only takes a few days of contact to know that Hyuga Chan is a person who puts the family first. Such a person cannot betray the family. The belief in the clan is like an invisible dog leash tied around Hyuga Chan's neck, and Kobayakawa Kazuma holds the leash. "You guys have such a bad character." Hyuga Chan cursed Kazuma Kobayakawa, but ate the pork chop rice. After finishing one bowl, one asked for another bowl. After lunch, Kazuma Kobayakawa took Hyuga Chan and Terumi Mei out for a walk on the streets of Konoha. For Kazuma Kobayakawa at the current stage, trading with Orochimaru must be put on the agenda. He can keep Hyuga Chan by his side for a while, but soon, Kurigakure will come to ask for someone. And he must give the village enough benefits in exchange for Hyuga Chan's ownership. Hyuga Chan followed Kazuma Kobayakawa as they walked on the streets of Konoha. Terumi Mei was envious of getting along with Kazuma Kobayakawa. Free and warm, just like a pair of ordinary and happy brothers and sisters. And these ordinary happiness are something they, the Hyuga branch house engraved with caged bird, cannot get in their lifetime. However, Hyuga Chan no longer desires this kind of ordinary happiness. As a member of the famous Hyuga clan, he must, like his elder brother Hyuga Hiashi, devote everything he has to the Hyuga clan. Chan. Suddenly, Kobayakawa Kazuma saw Hyuga Masado on the street. Hyuga Chan's ex-fiancé looked at Hyuga Chan in surprise. He squeezed through the flow of people on the street and ran over as fast as he could. "Chan, those guys from Mist Shinobi didn't do anything excessive to you, right?" Masado Hyuga held Hyuga Chan's hand and completely ignored Kazuma Kobayakawa. No, Hyuga Chan shook his head. This diplomat from Mist Shinobi was very strange. Since he captured her, he just wanted her to have a child. She knew that Mist Shinobi's people wanted to obtain the blood inheritance limit of the Hyuga clan through this method, but there was no good way to fight against it. Great. Masado Hyuga breathed a sigh of relief, and then added, "Chan, if you continue to be aggrieved for a while, I am entrusting an acquaintance to help, and I will be able to negotiate to send you back soon." Seeing Masado Hyuga working so hard, Hyuga Chan couldn't help but shed tears. She didn't dare to tell her about the loss of her innocence, and she even felt guilty when facing her fiancé. "Yeah, I'm waiting for you." Hyuga Chan nodded and responded. Suddenly, Kazuma Kobayakawa grabbed Masado Hyuga's wrist and reminded him, "You too, when we are talking to each other in the street, do you think I am nothing?" Hyuga Masado let go of Hyuga Chan's hand and noticed Kobayakawa Kazuma again. All the humiliation of these days came to his mind. The Hyuga clan was humiliated and his fiancé was taken away. He could only watch helplessly as it happened. Die. Hyuga Chan punched Kobayakawa Kazuma. Kobayakawa Kazuma casually grabbed Masado Hyuga's wrist and twisted it gently, causing the other person to wailing. Then, he punched Masado Hyuga in the abdomen, causing the opponent to temporarily lose the ability to fight. "Thank you for my magnanimity. If it were Naoya Juji, the former ambassador of Mist Shinobi, the Hyuga clan would be in big trouble just with that punch you just made." Kazuma Kobayakawa ignored Masado Hyuga and took Hyuga with him. Continue shopping with Terumi Mei. After walking not far, I saw familiar faces again, Hitaki Kakashi, Yuhi Kurenai, and Sarutobi Asuma. As ninjas from Konoha village, these three people have some friendship, but their friendship is not deep. "Kazuma Kobayakawa, have you been promoted to Jonin?" Hitaki Kakashi walked up to Kazuma Kobayakawa and asked specifically. From Yuhi Kurenai's mouth, he learned about Kazuma Kobayakawa's arrival in Konoha, and also learned that Kazuma Kobayakawa had served as Mist Shinobi's diplomat. Yes, Kobayakawa Kazuma nodded and answered truthfully. When they first met, he was far from Kakashi's opponent, but now, with the increase in chakra volume and strength, he is no longer afraid of Konoha's Jonin. "That's great," Hitaki Kakashi asked with cold eyes. "Do you dare to have a duel with me? We are all Jonin. Even if our respective villages know about it, there is no reason to stop it. You can rest assured, I will save your face and never let it get hurt." Hitaki Kakashi didn't like Kurigakure, and it was Kurigakure who caused him to lose his two best friends, Obito and Lin. In addition, he saw the scene where Kazuma Kobayakawa beat Masado Hyuga. The combination of various factors made Hitaki Kakashi feel extremely bad about Kazuma Kobayakawa, and he couldn't wait to vent his feelings. "Wait a minute," I said, "it's not necessary." Seeing that Hitaki Kakashi was about to fight Kazuma Kobayakawa, Kurenai Yuhi quickly stopped in front of Kazuma Kobayakawa. She said to Kakashi, "Kobayakawa just became a Jonin this year, and you, Kakashi, have been a Jonin many years ago. He is no match for you at all." Ahem, cough, yeah. Sarutobi Asuma, who was smoking, was directly choked by the cigarette. His face darkened and his mood suddenly deteriorated. I really didn't expect that Yuhi Kurenai was actually defending Mist Shinobi's guys. Kobayakawa Kazuma, what is the charm of this guy? Get away, if you don't want to get beaten together. Hitaki Kakashi glared at Yuhi Hong, and the murderous look in his eyes made Yuhi Hong take a few steps back subconsciously. Although Kurenai Yuhi and Kakashi are students of the same level, the gap in strength is not that big. Facing Hitaki Kakashi's pressing step by step, Kobayakawa Kazuma smiled. He patted Kakashi on the shoulder and said, "If you want to fight with someone else, I have no interest in wasting my time on you." Kobayakawa Kazuma is not a fighting maniac. Many times, fighting is a last resort. Faced with this dispensable duel, there was certainly no reason to agree. "Don't say that." At this moment, Sarutobi Asuma threw the cigarette on the ground, stamped it out, and said, "If you win Kakashi, how about I give you a special weapon as a reward? This weapon has been mixed with 20 grams of chakra metal." If it weren't for Yuhi Kurenai's protection, Sarutobi Asuma would not have come out to speak for Kakashi. To him, Kobayakawa Kazuma was just an outsider. He will not deliberately seek trouble for the other party, nor will he try to please him. But now, he can't wait for Yuhi Kurenai to see Kazuma Kobayakawa make a fool of himself, and to use Kakashi's hand to teach Mist Shinobi a lesson. Kobayakawa Kazuma was moved when he heard Sarutobi Asuma's bet. It was 20 grams of chakra metal. The ninja sword he usually used was only doped with 20 grams of chakra metal in total. Chakra metal has a price but no market, and it is difficult to buy it even if you have money. If these 20 grams of chakra metal are mixed in, the ninja sword will go even further. I agreed. Kobayakawa Kazuma paused, and under the temptation of chakra metal, he immediately accepted Kakashi's challenge. "Wait a minute, Kazuma Kobayakawa, you have no idea how strong Kakashi is. That guy Kakashi was already a Jonin during the Third War." Yuhi Kurenai persuaded again, "Kakashi today is only stronger than during the Third War." "It doesn't matter." Kazuma Kobayakawa did not listen to Yuhi Kurenai's opinion. Yuhi Hong sighed, none of these men would listen to advice. Terumi Mei and Hyuga Chan also followed. Terumi Mei was not worried that Kazuma Kobayakawa would lose. She knew very well how strong Kazuma Kobayakawa was. Hyuga Chan just went with the idea of watching a show. She has been bullied by Kazuma Kobayakawa these days, and she can't wait to see Kazuma Kobayakawa being bullied by others. The group of people soon found an open space in the forest. There were several wooden stakes used for practicing ninjutsu on the edge of the open space. This is the place where the genin usually use for training and teaching. Even Konoha Anbu usually it won't appear here either. Hitaki Kakashi and Kazuma Kobayakawa stood face to face, with Sarutobi Asuma standing between them. "It won't be good for either of you two to get injured." Sarutobi Asuma looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa and Hitaki Kakashi successively and said, "So, this battle is mainly a battle of physical skills. Ninjutsu cannot be used with fatal damage. Once if you fall to the ground, the battle is over, right?" Sarutobi Asuma had already predicted that Kobayakawa would lose, and he was not worried that his ninja tools would be leaked. After all, Hitaki Kakashi is the son of the wood industry White Fang, who became Jonin's ruthless character at the age of 12. "No problem." Kazuma Kobayakawa and Hitaki Kakashi agreed at the same time, both of them looked confident. "Then, get ready." Sarutobi Asuma threw the stone in his hand away, and the moment the stone hit the ground, the two of them rushed towards each other at the same time. Using fists and kicks together, Hitaki Kakashi and Kobayakawa Kazuma attacked and defended each other. How could he be so strong? After a brief fight, Hitaki Kakashi frowned subconsciously because of the pain in his arm. His fighting skills were better than Kazuma Kobayakawa's, but Kazuma Kobayakawa's strength and speed faintly surpassed him. After some testing, Kazuma Kobayakawa breathed a sigh of relief. Just as he expected, his chakra amount was 4.1 calories, and his physique and strength far exceeded that of the newly adult Kakashi. Since neither of them are taijutsu ninjas, Kakashi is no match for him in a pure taijutsu battle. Suddenly, Kobayakawa Kazuma disappeared, and the next moment he was in front of Kakashi, and he kicked Kakashi in the chin with his foot. Has that guy grown to this extent in this year? Hatake Kakashi blocked Kazuma Kobayakawa's attack with one hand and his body flew backwards. He vaguely remembered the Chunin exam a year ago. When he first met Kobayakawa Kazuma was still just a genin. He was fully capable of defeating the Mist Shinobi trio including Kobayakawa. With one hand on the ground, Kakashi used the force to land on the ground, his knees and right hand leaving a mark on the ground. He just missed it and fell to the ground, losing the duel. You're lying. Is Kazuo Kobayakawa really that strong? Seeing that Kakashi was almost defeated, Yuhi Kurenai couldn't help but be a little surprised. She didn't see clearly the teleportation technique just now. Kobayakawa Kazuma's speed in taijutsu has surpassed that of ordinary Jonin. Although I hate him, I have to admit that this guy is really a genius. Hyuga Chan couldn't help but admire Kobayakawa Kazuma. There are few people in Konoha who can make the genius ninja Hatake Kakashi suffer. Seeing that the person who taught Mist Shinobi failed, Kakashi lifted the blindfold on his right eye. Under the blindfold, a Sharingan appeared with a pattern of 3 Magatama. Next, you will never have the chance to touch the hem of my clothes. Hatake Kakashi is very confident that Obito's Sharingan allows him to see through most ninjutsu and taijutsu. Moreover, Sharingan's unique copying ability can greatly increase his speed and strength. Kobayakawa Kazuma frowned and opened the Sharingan if he couldn't beat him. Isn't this cheating? Can't you Konoha afford it? With the opening of Sharingan, Hatake Kakashi's speed suddenly rose to a higher level. He was extremely fast and started running around Kazuma Kobayakawa. The high-speed movement caused the sand and dust under his feet to fly wildly, and there was almost an afterimage of his body. Opportunity. Taking advantage of Kazuma Kobayakawa's blinking time, Kakashi attacked Kazuma Kobayakawa again, and his fist landed on Kazuma Kobayakawa's ribs. At this moment, he saw Kobayakawa Kazuma forming an ugly mark on one hand, and immediately the feel of his right fist changed. Bang! The white mist exploded, and a wooden stake replaced Kazuma Kobayakawa. A strange color flashed in Kakashi's eyes. Forming a seal with one hand, and only using one seal, this level of ninjutsu is something even an average Jonin can't do, right? Immediately, the real Kazuma Kobayakawa appeared behind Hatake Kakashi, and he picked up a branch from the ground. Ninja technique. Moon Shadow. With Kazuma Kobayakawa's 28% completion rate, he can summon the shadow of a sword by slashing at will. The effect of using branches is the same as using a ninja sword. Kakashi had already seen through Kazuma Kobayakawa's body replacement technique using Sharingan, so he wasn't too surprised when Kazuma Kobayakawa appeared behind him. However, the wooden stick that followed immediately put him into a panic. This sword technique is not combined with illusion. The two sticks are both entities. Although Kakashi had seen this ninjutsu a year ago, when faced with it in person, he still didn't have a good way to deal with it. Facing the Yueying sword technique, one must either take down two swords at the same time, or avoid both swords at the same time. Even for Jonin, the task presents challenges. The stick and shadow hit Kakashi at the same time, causing Kakashi to be hit hard twice on the face. Kakashi rolled out on his side, his Sharingan turned quickly, and he observed the direction of Kazuma Kobayakawa. Suddenly, Kobayakawa Kazuma formed another, ugly, mark. The moment Kakashi's Sharingan lost his position, he completed the body replacement technique. As for Kobayakawa Kazuma's true form, he has already appeared in midair, directly above Kakashi. Kobayakawa Kazuma then added a kick, causing Kakashi, who had just been attacked, to lose his center of gravity and fall heavily to the ground. At this point, the outcome has been decided. Sarutobi Asuma couldn't help but be stunned. That genius Jonin Hatake Kakashi actually lost to Kobayakawa Kazuma in such a short time. Winner, Kazuma Kobayakawa. Sarutobi Asuma had no choice but to declare Kazuma Kobayakawa's victory. Kobayakawa Kazuma was relieved. He originally thought that his physical strength should be far superior to Hatake Kakashi, but when they actually fought, he realized that Kakashi was really not weak. The reason why he was able to win so quickly was entirely because Hatake Kakashi underestimated his opponent. Bang! Hatake Kakashi wiped the bloodline from the corner of his mouth, stood up from the ground, turned around and left. This time, Konoha was embarrassed. Kazuma Kobayakawa stretched out his hand to Sarutobi Asuma and said, "It's time to hand it over, the winner's prize." Sarutobi Asuma sighed, then took out a one-handed knife from his ninja bag and handed it to Kobayakawa Kazuma. He spent a lot of money to build this one-handed knife. Kobayakawa Kazuma collected the things and put them in his ninja bag. Kobayakawa Kazuma, what kind of training have you received in the past year? Yuhi Hong asked curiously. Kazuma Kobayakawa spread his hands. Although he has trained a lot this year, his main focus is on making babies. Hyuga Chan was shocked. Even that genius ninja, Hatake Kakashi, couldn't defeat Kazuma Kobayakawa. Kazuma Kobayakawa is really not simple. After getting the ninja tool, Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't stay too long. He found a craftsman to recast the ninja sword, adding 20 grams of chakra metal at a time. He believed that the ninja sword would be further improved. He has also recently developed fire attribute chakra. Injecting fire attribute chakra into the ninja sword will surely make the ninja sword show even more amazing power in actual combat. When he returned to the embassy, it was almost dinner time. Kazuma Kobayakawa organized documents in the room. As a diplomat, he had a lot to do. Beside the fish pond, Terumi Mei squatted on the shore, watching the fish in the pond, and occasionally throwing some fish food into it. Chang Chang, look, what is this? Hyuga Chan handed the apple candy in her hand to Terumi Mei. Through these days of observation, she discovered that Kobayakawa Kazuma's younger sister likes to eat sweets very much and also likes to lick them with her tongue. Terumi Mei took the sweets, and Hyuga Chan took the opportunity to sit next to Terumi Mei and chat about today's outing. Terumi Mei is not defensive about Hyuga Chan and will answer honestly as long as the topic is not too sensitive. Ming, what kind of person do you think Kobayakawa Kazuma is? Gradually, Hyuga Chan brought the topic to the direction she wanted, and she asked Terumi Mei a question. Terumi Mei licked the candy apple with her little tongue and answered vaguely, Brother Yijun is gentle and strong. He will work hard for others. He is the person I admire most. Hyuga Chan curled her lips. She always felt that Terumi Mei had been seriously brainwashed and couldn't ask for any valuable information at all. Has Kazuma Kobayakawa never been in contact with a woman before? Hyuga Chan changed his angle and continued to ask. After all, there are few ninjas who have seen women as lustful as Kazuma Kobayakawa. No, Brother Yijun has 3 wives and many children. Terumi Mei shook her head and proactively added, for the recovery of our clan, Brother Kobayakawa is working hard to have children. For the recovery of your clan. Hyuga Chan felt that he didn't understand Kazuma Kobayakawa even more. This guy, Kazuma Kobayakawa, wouldn't he want to give birth to a family by himself, right? Terumi Mei nodded, imitating Kobayakawa Kazuma's tone, and preached, the so-called family is a collection of people, not the so-called secret inheritance, treasures and other external things. Blood is what connects us. Things that are closely tied together. Okay, I understand. Hyuga Chan quickly stopped Terumi Mei's interest in talking. He didn't expect that there would be such a stupid person who wanted to give birth to a huge family by himself. Both brothers and sisters are so naive, no wonder Kazuma Kobayakawa talks about having a baby. Wait, if Kazuma Kobayakawa's purpose is to rebuild a family by giving birth to children, then I am also a member of this family. Is it their family? Hyuga Chan suddenly thought of something, and she shook her head again. Don't be knocked down by the enemy's sugar-coated bullets. Kazuma Kobayakawa is Miss Shinobi's lackey. She was allowed to have children in order to steal the bloodline of the Hyuga clan. With this idea firmly in mind, Hyuga Chan walked into Kazuma Kobayakawa's room. After a while, the sound of ah came from the room. Hyuga Chan held on to the window, his face flushed by the setting sun. If Kobayakawa Kazuma is not Miss Shinobi's lackey, maybe it would be nice to have such a fiancé. At least Kobayakawa Kazuma knew how to bring her happiness. But immediately, Hyuga Chan eliminated this ridiculous idea from his mind. The guys from Mist Shinobi are all enemies. In the following week, Kobayakawa Kazuma was still working hard on the great cause of making a baby. Finally, on Saturday night, the system prompted a sound, indicating that the sewing was successful and the rewards were distributed. Name: Kazuma Kobayakawa. Lifespan: 39 years. Chakra: 4.9 calories. Ninja qualification: B1/8. Blood succession limit: crystal style. Ninjutsu: body replacement technique 41% completion, transformation technique 40% completion, clone technique 39% completion, water style. Mist Shinobi technique 30% completion, water style, 28% completion, sword technique. Moon Shadow 28% completion, water style. Water Iron Cannon 19% completion, summoning technique 100% completion, truth technique 6% completion, fire style. Dragon Fire technique 5% completion. With Hyuga's B+ level beauty, Kazuma Kobayakawa not only permanently increased the chakra limit by 0.8 calories, but also upgraded his ninja qualifications to B level. The promotion of ninja qualifications to B level means that the ability to learn ninjutsu has been further strengthened. Now Kobayakawa Kazuma wants to try to learn A level ninjutsu. According to his current qualifications, he should be able to learn this level of ninjutsu. After the exercise, Kazuma Kobayakawa lay on the side without any interest, while Hyuga Chan quietly looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa's profile. In the first few days, she didn't like Kazuma Kobayakawa very much, but after getting along with him for half a month, she felt that Kazuma Kobayakawa's nature might not be that bad. This person might just be selfish and wanted a child. After thinking for a long time, Kobayakawa Kazuma listed the Shadow Clone technique, which is more difficult to learn among B-level ninjutsu, as his next target. This ninjutsu was invented by second Hokage Senju Tobirama. Unlike the ordinary clone technique he used, the clones created by Shadow Clone are all entities, and after the Shadow Clone is released, the experience and information gained will return to the original body. If the ordinary clone technique is just a deception, then Shadow Clone can be included in the category of spells. After leaving Hyuga Chan's room, Kazuma Kobayakawa returned to his room and fell asleep. Hyuga Chan had been living in the embassy for more than half a month, and Mist Shinobi's letter was about to arrive. Sure enough, early the next morning, Kazuma Kobayakawa saw the ninja kneeling on one knee outside the door. Mr. Kobayakawa, a letter from Kaker. The ninja put the letter outside the door and left. Kazuma Kobayakawa opened the letter and saw the contents inside. As he expected, the letter was written by the watermelon dolphin ghost and had two main contents. The first item is to praise Kobayakawa Kazuma for his actions. Being able to blackmail a person from the Hyuga branch house from the Hyuga family can be regarded as a great contribution to Kaker. The second thing is to ask Kazuma Kobayakawa to quickly send Hyuga Chan to Kaker in order to carry out research on the Byakugan. Kazuma Kobayakawa wrote a letter, rejecting the order of Hyuga Yamatoki on the grounds that keeping Hyuga Chan was still useful. Kobayakawa Kazuma knew very well that he needed to get enough benefits to return to Kaker, otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible to keep Hyuga Chan by his side. If it was before, it would be okay to hand over Hyuga Chan to Kaker. But now, Hyuga Chan is pregnant with her own child. Whether it is for the sake of blood inheritance or the unborn child, Hyuga Chan cannot be handed over. What Mist Shinobi wants is not Hyuga Chan, but the secret of Byakugan. If he can get such items, it will be enough to give Kaker an explanation. After sending the letter away, Kazuma Kobayakawa changed his clothes and prepared to visit the Uchiha clan. It has been a while since I came to Konoha, and it was time to carry out the order left by the third Mizukage. This time I visited the leader of the Uchiha clan not only to make friends, but also to find out the Shadow Clone technique and the whereabouts of Orochimaru. As a scientific expert who is keen on experiments, Orochimaru should have some experimental conclusions related to the Byakugan in his hand. Even if it is just a little bit, it will be enough to give Mist Shinobi a reference. The Uchiha clan's clan is located in the east of Konoha, behind the Hokage rock, not far from the Hokage building, and there is a river nearby. It is said that this location was carefully selected by the second Hokage. It not only isolated the Uchiha clan from the rest of the ninja clan, but also brought this clan under the surveillance of the Hokage. Kobayakawa Kazuma's identity is sensitive, and when he enters the Uchiha clan's territory, he is naturally easily targeted by Anbu. However, the problem is not big. Although Anbu is strong, he cannot penetrate into the family of the Uchiha clan leader. With a pattern like a table tennis bat carved on the exterior wall, Kazuma Kobayakawa knocked on the door and entered Uchiha Fugaku's home. Suddenly, a pair of cold eyes looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa. Kazuma Kobayakawa followed the source of the eyes and saw that Uchiha Itachi was standing coldly outside the door, and the three-tomo Sharingan actually opened. The current Itachi doesn't seem to be friendly to the people of Mist Shinobi. The current Uchiha Itachi is just 11 years old. He joined Anbu not long ago and has not yet started Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi, don't stare at the guests like this. It's very rude. A beautiful woman holding a child walked out of the room behind Uchiha Itachi. She nodded to Kazuma Kobayakawa, and then called Itachi into the room. None other than Uchiha Makoto, the wife of Uchiha Fugaku. Madam is so beautiful. Kazuma Kobayakawa saw Uchiha Fugaku and couldn't help but praise. Uchiha Fugaku had a gloomy face. He opened the door behind him and said to Kazuma Kobayakawa, "Come in and talk." Kazuma Kobayakawa nodded and followed Uchiha Fugaku into the room. Afterwards, Uchiha Makoto served a bottle of sake and 2 plates of side dishes to the two of them. "I am Kazuma Kobayakawa, Kurigaku's newly appointed diplomat, succeeding the position of senior Naoya Juchi." Kazuma Kobayakawa introduced himself. Uchiha Fugaku nodded. He drank wine, took a mouthful of vegetables, chewed them slowly, and started eating. Kazuma Kobayakawa also ate with Uchiha Fugaku, chatting from time to time. For example, under the leadership of Mr. Yagura, Kurigaku is developing better and better, and Mist Shinobi welcomes insightful people like Uchiha. There was no mention at all of the village's persecution of bloodline-limited families. Suddenly, Kazuma Kobayakawa put down his chopsticks and said, "Mr. Fugaku, the situation of the Uchiha clan is getting worse and worse. It can be seen that the village is very defensive against you." Uchiha Fugaku slowly swallowed the wine in his mouth, looked at Kobayakawa Kazuma with sharp eyes, and asked, "What do you mean?" Kazuma Kobayakawa didn't know the specific stage of the conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village at this time, and whether Fugaku had thoughts of rebellion, so he didn't continue talking. "Speaking of which, I have just become a Jonin. I heard that Konoha's shadow clone technique is very famous. Even the famous Sharingan can't see through it. I really want to learn it." Kobayakawa Kazuma changed the subject and continued. He doesn't mind paying enough money in exchange for the shadow clone technique. Although the shadow clone technique is rarely seen in other ninja villages, it should still be relatively common in Konoha. After all, people like Naruto, Third Hokage, Uchiha Itachi, Kakashi, etc. have all demonstrated the shadow clone technique. Seeing Kazuma Kobayakawa mention the shadow clone technique, Uchiha Fugaku's face visibly pulled down. Who doesn't know that shadow clone is a ninjutsu specially developed by second Hokage for the Uchiha clan? Its purpose is to restrain the Sharingan unique to the Uchiha clan. This Kobayakawa Kazuma is poking at the Uchiha clan's sore spots at every turn, as if he's just here to cause trouble. "If you have nothing else to do, you can go back." Uchiha Fugaku tapped the wine glass in his hand gently on the coffee table, with the intention of sending him away. Of course he can shadow clone, but what Kobayakawa Kazuma said made people very unhappy. Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't mind Uchiha Fugaku's attitude. Of course he wanted to learn shadow clone, but what he said just now was just to test the intelligence of the Uchiha clan. From the current situation, Uchiha Fugaku has no intention of confronting Konoha openly. He may have been preparing something in private, but at least, he will not directly tear his face with Konoha for the time being. It's a pity that Fugaku doesn't have much time to hesitate. Judging from Itachi's age, the day when the Uchiha clan is exterminated is not far away. Kobayakawa Kazuma doesn't have any saintly ideas to save Uchiha. The only thing he regrets is that such a good blood limit will have no successor. You should plan to have children as early as possible. Otherwise, you won't be able to find a female Uchiha in the future. Let's talk about something else. I just took office and I still have a lot of information to learn. Kobayakawa Kazuma changed the topic and continued chatting with Uchiha Fugaku until it was almost dark and left directly back to the embassy. By observing the reactions of the Uchiha clan and the tone of Uchiha Fugaku, Kobayakawa Kazuma has discovered that the Uchiha clan's dissatisfaction with Konoha has reached a critical point. It only takes a fuse for the Uchiha time bomb to explode. In the following days, Kobayakawa Kazuma's frequency of visiting the Uchiha clan became visibly more frequent, basically once every 3 days. For this reason, occasionally someone from Anbu would come forward to warn Kobayakawa Kazuma. However, Kobayakawa Kazuma directly turned Anbu's words into a deaf ear. If they were always concerned about Konoha, they Kurigakure would not have to set up the position of diplomat here. Although he still failed to learn shadow clone technique, Kobayakawa Kazuma learned the whereabouts of Orochimaru from Fugaku. Next week, the Konoha Sannin who completed the mission will return to the village. Kobayakawa Kazuma has already prepared to negotiate with Orochimaru. What he asked for is not very precious. With coercion and inducement, Orochimaru should not be stingy. This week, Hyuga Chan has become more and more uneasy. She would stand outside the gate of the embassy from time to time, and take advantage of the time when the gate is open to look at Konoha village from afar. Sure enough, Kobayakawa Kazuma has lost interest in me. The day I will be sent to Kurigakure is not far away. Hyuga Chan sighed, and her yearning for the outside world became stronger. From the first day she came here, Hyuga Chan knew her fate and was ready to commit suicide. She knew very well that Kobayakawa Kazuma's interest in her was limited. When this limit was reached, it would be the day she lost her value. How could a branch house person abandoned by the Hyuga clan become a family member of Kobayakawa Kazuma? However, I didn't expect Kobayakawa Kazuma's interest to change so quickly in just 3 weeks. At dinner time, Hyuga Chan, who was full of worries, even lost his appetite and only ate 2 bites of eel rice. Kobayakawa Kazuma has been very busy recently, so he naturally had no time to notice Hyuga Chan's abnormality. Negotiating with the Uchiha clan every day was enough to cause him trouble. He also went to find a craftsman today and took back the recast ninja sword. This ninja sword mixed with 40 grams of chakra metal seemed to feel a little lighter. Kobayakawa Kazuma, what are you going to do with me? Suddenly, Hyuga Chan put down his bowl and chopsticks and asked Kobayakawa Kazuma about his confusion. Instead of living in fear all day long, it is better to prepare in advance. Kazuma Kobayakawa thought that Hyuga Chan was asking him what to do with the missed shinobi letter, so he responded casually, you don't have to worry about this matter. I will delay missed shinobi. You just need to take good care of the baby. Raising a baby. Hyuga Chan looked at his lower abdomen. Kobayakawa Kazuma said, is she pregnant? However, from Kobayakawa Kazuma's tone, it seemed that he had no intention of handing himself over to Mist Shinobi. I'm full. Hyuga Chan dropped the dishes and returned to the room. Looking back on the situation in the past week, Hyuga Chan can probably figure out that what Kobayakawa Kazuma said is not false. She is probably, indeed, pregnant. Not only did my menstrual period not come, but my appetite was also reduced. In addition, I also experienced symptoms of nausea and retching from time to time. These phenomena all indicate the fact that she is pregnant. This child cannot be kept, and Kurigakure must not get a blank look. Hyuga Chan firmed up his inner thoughts. For the sake of the Hyuga clan and Konoha, this child must not be left behind. Although the probability of giving birth to a newborn with the Byakugan blood inheritance limit was only small, she didn't dare to bet on it. There is a knife used for cutting fruit under the bed, which Hyuga Chan stole from the kitchen to prepare for self-cutting. She held the fruit knife in her backhand and pointed it at her abdomen. Roll your eyes. Her eyes widened, and the Hyuga clan's white eyes opened. The chakra acupuncture points appeared in her sight. When she carefully observed her lower abdomen, she could occasionally catch the faint flow of chakra in her lower abdomen, which should be traces of fetal activity. Putting the fruit knife against his lower abdomen, Hyuga Chan swallowed, and the cold sweat on his forehead couldn't help but flow down. As long as it is inserted from this position, it will cause miscarriage and even lose the ability to have children. Hyuga Chan was very nervous. It was not that she was not afraid of pain, nor was she indifferent to her children, but in her heart, she had the great righteousness of the Hyuga clan. I'm sorry, baby, your arrival is a gift from Sage of Six Paths. But unfortunately, you shouldn't have been born at this wrong time. Because of fear, Hyuga Chan closed his eyes and stabbed his lower abdomen with the fruit knife. Go down. Suddenly, the door to the room was kicked open, and the fruit knife in Hyuga Chan's hand was broken. Kobayakawa Kazuma used a kunai to stop Hyuga Chan's self-harm. What do you want to do to my child? Kazuma Kobayakawa looked at Hyuga Chan, his eyes turning cold. During the previous meal, he felt that something was wrong with Hyuga Chan. Unexpectedly, Hyuga Chan actually had his mind set on his unborn child. For Kazuma Kobayakawa, ensuring the birth of children is the first priority, and its importance is even more important than Hyuga Chan. Feeling that her hands were empty, Hyuga Chan also opened her pure white eyes, and she couldn't help but smile miserably. Kobayakawa Kazuma, don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Hyuga Chan said coldly. This child is likely to become Mist Shinobi's weapon against Konoha. Even if I don't do anything, Konoha and the Hyuga family I will never let this child be born. Hyuga Chan raised his head with a crazy smile on his lips. Your plan is doomed to failure, Kaker can't get a look. Kazuma Kobayakawa was silent. Hyuga Chan was indeed right. Neither the Hyuga clan nor Konoha village would turn a blind eye to this child who might have inherited the Byakugan. Unless he can gain the trust of Konoha and the Hyuga clan. Or, to ensure that this child will not escape Konoha's control. In that case, you should return to the Hyuga clan to raise the child. In this case, Konoha and the Hyuga clan will not prevent the birth of this child. Kobayakawa Kazuma thought for a while, and finally found out that sending Hyuga Chan back to Hyuga clan land is the best way to protect children. However, he cannot send it back directly, because then Konoha and the Hyuga clan will worry about his ulterior motives. What did you say? Let me go back to the village. Hyuga Chan looked surprised. She didn't believe that Kazuma Kobayakawa, who had spent so much effort to get her, could give up on her so easily. Even if this man is tired of playing with her, he should hand her over to Kaker. I will think of a way. In a month at most, I will find an opportunity to send you back. Kobayakawa Kazuma said in a deep voice, warning, but sending you back to the Hyuga clan is for the sake of the child. If the child is not born in the end, don't blame me for causing trouble for the Hyuga clan, and your fiancé won't be able to survive. In order for the child to be born smoothly. Hyuga Chan suddenly smiled. At this moment, she was really looking forward to it, hoping that Kobayakawa Kazuma was not lying. At least, this shows that Kazuya Kobayakawa really cares, not only about her as a slave, but also about the children. Then I will give you a month. If I cannot return to the Hyuga clan, I will do my best to destroy him. Hyuga Chan warned. You are not qualified to bargain with me. Kobayakawa Kazuma took the fruit knife away and sent ninjas to watch Hyuga Chan. Giving birth to a child is very important, and we must not let Hyuga Chan mess with it so easily. Later, Kazuma Kobayakawa asked his subordinates to pay attention to Hyuga Haruka's movements, waiting for the opportunity for Hyuga Haruka to leave the clan. Asking the Hyuga clan to exchange things for Hyuga Chan is far easier to accept than sending Hyuga Chan directly back. After taking some time, Kazuma Kobayakawa rushed to the Uchiha clan's territory. There were many things he wanted here. In addition to the bloodline of the Uchiha clan, there is also the shadow clone technique in the entire Uchiha clan. When the morning light first appeared, the Uchiha clan's land was still quiet, the stores were not open yet, and the streets were deserted. A man in black short sleeves and a green jacket appeared on the only way to Uchiha Fugaku's house. His eyes were sharp, as if he had been waiting here for a long time. A pair of Sharingan that did not belong to the basic Magatama pattern looked straight ahead. Kazuma Kobayakawa stopped, and the person who appeared was the famous Uchiha Shisui, the Uchiha genius who has recently become famous. Lord Kobayakawa, Shisui said calmly, I hope you won't come to the Uchiha clan. The peace of our clan is not easy to come by. Uchiha Shisui, who has experienced troubled times, naturally knows the value of peace. He also knows that the people of Mist Shinobi covet the power of the Uchiha family. As the spokesperson of Mist Shinobi, Kazuma Kobayakawa always appears here, which will definitely provoke conflicts between the village and the Uchiha clan. Are you talking about false peace like it is now? With your pair of Mangekyo Sharingan, can't you still see falsehood and truth clearly? Kazuma Kobayakawa shook his head. If it weren't for Uchiha Shisui and Itachi's innocence, the Uchiha clan might not have ended up being exterminated. Even if he defected to Konoha, with the blood of the Uchiha clan, there would be a lot of small countries willing to take him in. As long as you don't disturb us, our clan will always be peaceful. Madness. Kobayakawa Kazuma ignored Uchiha Shisui, but went straight to Uchiha Fugaku's home, and chatted with Uchiha Fugaku about the shadow clone technique. Not surprisingly, he still failed to get what he wanted from Fugaku. After all, Fugaku didn't have a very good impression of him. Kazuma Kobayakawa doesn't care much about this. God-level ninjutsu like the shadow clone technique still needs to be planned slowly. The night was getting darker, and Kazuma Kobayakawa came out of the Uchiha clan's territory and returned to his place of residence. Passing through the busiest street in the village, we entered a dark alley. Kobayakawa Kazuma's face darkened, and then he took out the kunai from his ninja bag and waved it quickly. Dang dang dang. Several shurikens were knocked off and scattered on the surrounding trees and land. Who are you? How dare you attack me? Kobayakawa Kazuma looked up and saw a figure standing on a big tree under the moonlight. His face was covered so that no one could see his appearance. Then the masked man's figure quickly disappeared and landed not far from Kazuma Kobayakawa. Mr. Kobayakawa, have you gotten too close to Uchiha recently? The masked man asked. Kobayakawa Kazuma has already made some guesses about the identity of the masked man. This man is probably from Konoha. Raising his right hand, Kazuma Kobayakawa made a pistol gesture and pointed it at the masked man. The ambassador who dared to attack Mist Shinobi, even if he killed the opponent here, Konoha could not say anything. Water style. Water cannon technique. The masked man's face turned dark. He recognized that ninjutsu. Although it was just a small water bomb, its power and speed were extremely terrifying. During the Third World War, Konoha suffered a lot from water and iron cannons. Earth style. Earth formation wall. The masked man quickly formed a seal. He pressed his hands on the ground, and an earth wall quickly rose to block the water iron cannon's attack. Earth style has a restraining effect on water style, and the B-level water iron cannon can only make a deep dent in the earth wall. Kazuma Kobayakawa pulled out his ninja sword, which had water attribute chakra attached to it. He formed two seals with one hand, instantly summoned several clones that interfered with his vision, and rushed towards the opponent. The masked man quickly stepped back, but his expression suddenly changed. The real Kazuma Kobayakawa had appeared behind him using the body flicker technique. The ninja sword struck the masked man on the shoulder, but Kobayakawa Kazuma secretly said something bad, and there was no feeling of the hit at all. Looking at the ninja sword, it was already covered with a layer of soil. Don't waste your efforts. My earth armor is used to restrain water-style ninjas like you. The masked man snorted coldly. This time, he did not retreat but advanced, drawing out a kunai and approaching Kobayakawa. Yijun. Since Kazuma Kobayakawa's attacks can't cause damage, why not take the opportunity to teach the Mist Shinobi ambassador a lesson? A lesson that made him dare not ignore Konoha's words for the rest of his life. Kobayakawa Kazuma hurriedly changed the chakra attribute. With the injection of fire attribute chakra, the color of the ninja sword turned red visibly to the naked eye, emitting bursts of high temperature. After injecting the fire attribute, the high temperature of the ninja sword causes the surrounding air to evaporate, and it looks like a certain spatial distortion has occurred to the naked eye. After being newly doped with 20 grams of chakra metal, the ability of this ninja sword to absorb chakra is further enhanced, and it seems to be much more powerful. Ninja technique. Moon shadow. The ninja sword and kunai collided, and the next moment, the masked man fell in a pool of blood, and the earth armor on his body peeled off layer by layer. The fire attribute is not restrained by the earth attribute, and Kobayakawa Kazuma, who can use the dual attribute chakra, has the ability to be more adaptable when facing Jonin-level opponents. After another stab, finally killing the enemy, Kobayakawa Kazuma finally lifted the veil of the masked man. Under the veil is a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance, even giving the impression of being unshaven. Kobayakawa Kazuma's first reaction was to open the middle-aged man's mouth and saw a black block rune on the other man's tongue. As expected, it's the tongue eradicating seal. The third Hokage will not do these dark things directly, but will always borrow Danzo's hand. The Root Organization is a secret organization in Konoha village, directly under the Hokage's assistant Danzo, and the seal of Tongue Bane is the mark left by Danzo, in order to prevent these Root Organization ninjas from saying anything related to Danzo. After confirming his identity, Kobayakawa Kazuma took the body back. In Konoha village, it doesn't matter if you kill the people of the Root Organization, what matters is that you must be responsible. As long as it is reasonable, Mist Shinobi will do its best to protect itself, and Konoha will have no reason to attack. After returning to the embassy and throwing the body in the room, Kobayakawa Kazuma called his direct subordinates to spread the news about his attack through the intelligence network. Afterwards, he wrote a letter and truthfully reported to Kaker the fact that the Uchiha clan was attacked today. After doing these things, Kazuma Kobayakawa began his daily behavior of touching corpses. After all, he was indeed not a ninja who liked to waste. Taking out his ninja tool bag, Kobayakawa Kazuma only saw ordinary shurikens and kunai, and he poured these messy things aside indifferently. The ninjas of the Root Organization are so poor. Kobayakawa Kazuma sighed. After killing a ninja, the only valuable thing was a shuriken mixed with chakra metal. Judging from the feeling of chakra received by shuriken, the amount of chakra mixed in it will not exceed 2 grams. Kazuma Kobayakawa handed the body over to his men for disposal without interest. He returned to the room, closed the door, and prepared to sleep. Tap tap tap. Outside the door, the sound of clogs hitting the wooden floor came out, and Hyuga Chan couldn't wait to push open the door of Kobayakawa Kazuma's room. Kobayakawa, are you still alive? Hyuga Chan asked. Her eyes opened, and there was nothing abnormal about Kobayakawa Kazuma's chakra, which made her relieved. Are you rushing here in such a hurry because you care about me? In the darkness, Kobayakawa Kazuma turned around, looked at Hyuga Chan, and asked. You promised me that you would return me to the Hyuga clan, and I can't let you break your promise. Hyuga Chan said coldly to Kaido. That's good. Kazuma Kobayakawa exhaled and said leisurely. You came to see me in such a hurry, I thought you fell in love with me. In his words, Kobayakawa Kazuma deliberately set a trap. These days, he also discovered the changes in Hyuga Chan. When Hyuga Chan first came here, he was naturally extremely resistant to having children, but gradually, he seemed to accept this compulsion. Until now, Hyuga Chan has been able to raise the baby with peace of mind. I can never have feelings for you. Hyuga closed the door with a bang, and she subconsciously put her hand on her heart. Something was jumping, very powerful and very fast. I'm kidding, am I really in love with him? If not, what's going on with this strange feeling? Hyuga Chan smiled bitterly, and his body's reaction seemed to explain everything. But in fact, these heartbeats are all Hyuga Chan's illusions. The reason why his heartbeat is so fast and his blood is surging is because of fear and desire. She longs for freedom and fears Mist Shinobi's punishment. In this embassy controlled by Kaker, Kazuma Kobayakawa is her only support. Losing Kazuma Kobayakawa means losing asylum and safety. But at this moment, she mistakenly attributed those longings and fears to the feeling of heartbeat, and felt disappointed because of it. I want to go back, but I am a little reluctant to go back. The Hyuga clan has everything, but they don't have the feeling of being moved. Kobayakawa Kazuma in the room became quiet, and Hyuga Chan looked at the closed door and did not leave for a long time. Early the next morning, the news of Kazuma Kobayakawa's assassination spread throughout the streets, causing quite a stir. Kazuma Kobayakawa was relieved to go out. There is no doubt that with the fermentation of public opinion, the situation last night should not happen again. The Root Organization assassinated Mist Shinobi. This is a major event among major events. At worst, it would be a serious diplomatic accident. At worst, it might even lead to the outbreak of war. In November, the Konoha Matsutake season comes to an end, and stalls selling wild matsutake can be seen everywhere on the commercial streets of Konoha village. Kobayakawa Kazuma bought some and planned to take them back to Terumi-Mae to try. I believe that Terumi-Mae, who has never left Kaker since she was a child, will definitely be interested in this ingredient. Mr. Kobayakawa. A ninja disguised as a candy vendor approached Kazuma Kobayakawa and thrust a note into Kazuma Kobayakawa's hand. Kobayakawa Kazuma avoided the crowd and opened the note. After seeing the writing on it, he felt a little happier. Hyuga Hiashi's wife, Hyuga Haruka, went out and is now on this street. Thinking that now was a good time to meet Hyuga Haruka, Kobayakawa Kazuma took the matsutake mushrooms and went to squat. After a while, he met Hyuga Haruka at the end of the street, who was returning home with a full load. Hyuga Haruka held a large shopping bag in his hand, which contained bread, vegetables and other items, and held a little girl with white eyes in his other hand. The little girl seemed to be very scared. When she saw Kazuma Kobayakawa, she hid behind Hyuga Haruka. Kobayakawa Kazuma looked at the cute little girl and felt touched in his heart. This must be Hyuga Hinata, the future Mrs. Hokage. Madam, you are so elegant. Kobayakawa Kazuma deliberately said sarcastically. It seems that a person from the branch house is really nothing to your clan. I wonder why you are so haunted. The Hyuga clan no longer owes you Mist Shinobi anything, and I don't want to meet you. Facing Kazuma Kobayakawa, Hyuga Haruka's face showed undisguised disgust. I have a deal to discuss with Madam. Kobayakawa Kazuma raised the corners of his lips and threatened. Madam, you don't want me to hand over Hiashi's sister to Mist Shinobi, do you? Mist Shinobi's gang has comparable methods. I'm much crueler. Why are you still talking about this now? Hyuga Haruka asked in an irritated tone. Let Chan become a tool. Isn't this the result you Mist Shinobi want? No, 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 Mist Shinobi is Mist Shinobi, I am me, I am not interested in what Mist Shinobi wants. Kazuma Kobayakawa leaned into Hyuga Haruka's ear and whispered, what I want is Mrs. After saying that, Kazuma Kobayakawa left, leaving Hyuga Haruka a lot of time to think. This is the solution Kobayakawa Kazuma thought of. If he sends Hyuga Chan directly back to the Hyuga clan, Konoha and Hyuga Hiashi will definitely think that there is fraud. But if he makes the Hyuga clan pay a certain price, then Konoha's vigilance will be greatly reduced and the birth of the child will go more smoothly. In fact, Kobayakawa Kazuma did not intend to deceive Konoha. He sent Hyuga Chan back just to give birth to the next child safely. Want me? What does he mean? Hyuga fell into deep thought. She couldn't figure out what Kazuma Kobayakawa wanted to do. Apart from rolling eyes, she couldn't think of anything else about the Hyuga clan that could impress Kobayakawa Kazuma. After Hyuga Haruka left, a rumor started flowing into the Hyuga clan from nowhere. Mist Shinobi's new diplomat turned out to be a pervert. Do you know why Kazuma Kobayakawa wants Miss Ken instead of Hiashi? That's because Miss Ken is young and beautiful, which is very suitable for Kazuma Kobayakawa's special hobbies. A person with no bloodline limit. The Hyuga tribe members were chatting away, as if they knew something important. Do you know what you are talking about? Masado Hyuga, who was sitting in the corner, burst into tears when he heard this. He grabbed the collar of the tribesman and punched him in the eye. Although it is a branch house, Masado Hyuga is a chunin after all, so it is quite easy to beat an ordinary clansman who has no bloodline limit. Hug. Sorry. The tribesman hurriedly apologized to Hyuga Masado. After all, Hyuga Chan was the fiancé of the man in front of him. It's bad enough that his fiancé was snatched away, and now such rumors are spreading. If an apology is useful, what else do you need from the Konoha guards? Masado Hyuga punched out again, as if all his dissatisfaction these days had been vented at once. Wait, Masado, what are you doing? The sudden appearance of Hyuga Haruka interrupted the violent Hyuga Masado. Masado Hyuga looked at Haruka Hyuga, tears welling up like a bursting dam. Because they said bad things about Chan Chan. Masado Hyuga sobbed and cried. Chan Chan voluntarily sacrificed herself for the clan leader, and was even prepared to die. But now, her tribe members are actually spreading rumors about Chan Chan. I was insulted by that scumbag. Madam, I despair of this boring clan. After saying that, Masado Hyuga fled. Even if he is alone, he must rescue Chan Chan from the clutches of Mist Shinobi. Hyuga's heart was heavy, and Masado Hyuga's words made her feel ashamed. It was obviously Hyuga Hiashi's mistake, but Hyuga Chan had to bear the consequences. It's already unfair to Chan Chan's life to be engraved with the mark of caged bird, and now, he still has to suffer that kind of torture. These clans owe too many people in the branch house. However, after hearing the rumors about that pervert, Hyuga Haruka already vaguely understood what Kobayakawa Kazuma meant. When Kazuma Kobayakawa said, "I want a wife," it didn't refer to the blood inheritance limit of Byakugan, but simply to the body. Kobayakawa Kazuma must have been planning this when they first met. Back in the room, Hyuga entered the bathroom to take a bath. She put on her most beautiful clothes, painted her eyebrows, and looked at her appearance in the mirror. Although the Hyuga clan is divided into the clan house and the branch house, how can they just let the people from the branch house sacrifice blindly? As the head wife of the clan, she should do something. Kazuma Kobayakawa has certainly not been idle recently. He planned the lewd rumors, and had been introduced into the Hyuga clan through some channels long before he met Haruka Hyuga. This rumor serves two purposes. The first is to create a lustful image in order to dispel the defensiveness of Konoha and the Hyuga clan. The second is to guide Hyuga Haruka and let the other party complete this deal, and exchange Hyuga Chan for a certain price. In this case, Hyuga Chan's return to the Hyuga clan will not cause too much vigilance, and his child can be born smoothly. Sometimes I think about it, being a father is really hard. Kazuma Kobayakawa sighed, bored and flipping through the scrolls left by Naoya Shiji. For the birth of the child, for Hyuga Chan to return to the Hyuga clan smoothly and be accepted by the Hyuga clan, he worked hard and even ruined his perfect reputation. Seeing that tomorrow is the day for Orochimaru to return to the village, Kazuma Kobayakawa's plan to send Hyuga Chan back is coming to an end. At night, the fragrance of matsutake mushrooms wafted through the yard. Hyuga Chan and Terumi Mei squatted next to the stove, waiting for the matsutake mushrooms to ripen. After feeling relieved about Kazuma Kobayakawa, Hyuga Chan quickly became involved with Terumi Mei. The two are of similar age and have similar experiences. Terumi Mei has never left Kurigakure for 18 years, while Hyuga Chan has never left Konoha except for the Third Ninja War. Both of them yearn for life in the outside world, and at the same time, they hope to marry a good husband. Are they cooked? Terumi Mei looked at the sizzling grilled matsutake mushrooms and asked Hyuga Chan sincerely. She had never eaten this before. It's ready to eat. Hyuga Chan carefully picked up the matsutake with chopsticks, put it to his mouth and blew it gently a few times, then put it in his mouth, showing an expression of enjoyment. Terumi Mei swallowed. Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't come, and she didn't want to eat first. "Brother Yijun, come to eat matsutake," Terumi Mei shouted into the room. After a while, Kazuma Kobayakawa came out to eat matsutake mushrooms with Terumi Mei. The temperature in the evening was just right and the atmosphere was just right. Hyuga Chan happily ate matsutake mushrooms. After being in contact with them for a long time, she suddenly found that getting along with Kazuma Kobayakawa's brother and sister was not uncomfortable. The Hyuga clan is a famous family in Konoha. In the family, there is not only hierarchy, but also clan and branch houses. People in the branch house are never allowed to disrespect the clan. But in Kazuma Kobayakawa, in addition to giving birth to children, Kazuma Kobayakawa gave her great freedom, including the dignity of a human being. "Hey, Kobayakawa Kazuma, when are you going to take me back?" Hyuga Chan picked up the matsutake mushrooms with chopsticks, with a smile on his face. "I will naturally send you back when the time comes." Kobayakawa Kazuma still wanted to squeeze out the last value of Hyuga Chan, so he said, "Do you know the shadow clone technique? If you can help me get the shadow clone technique, I will do it tomorrow. I can take you back." "I don't know that kind of advanced ninjutsu," Hyuga Chan explained. Shadow clone technique is a ninjutsu created by second Hokage Tobirama. Only people who have a good relationship with Tobirama, or those families who have made great achievements in war can have the opportunity. Study. Hyuga Chan remembers that the Hyuga clan has a scroll recording the shadow clone technique. It was awarded by the third Hokage personally because of the Hyuga clan's great contribution in the Third War, and was kept by his brother Hyuga Hiashi. But of course, there was no reason why she told Kazuma Kobayakawa this information. "It seems that I have to find another way." Kobayakawa Kazuma sighed. He really wanted to learn the shadow clone technique. Shadow clone technique is most suitable for those ninjas who have a large amount of chakra, and he, with a large amount of chakra of 4.9 cards, is definitely an excellent user of this ninjutsu. With shadow clone technique, he can even use Shadow Clone to practice ninjutsu while working, so that he can work and study at the same time. Seeing Kazuma Kobayakawa sigh, Hyuga Chan also felt that his mood was affected. I don't know why, I just want to do something to help Kazuma Kobayakawa. Kazuma Kobayakawa, what is your wish? After eating matsutake for a while, Hyuga Chan chatted with Kazuma Kobayakawa again. Before leaving here, she wanted to know more about Kazuma Kobayakawa. Of course, her purpose was just to find Kazuma Kobayakawa's weaknesses and then bring back some information for the Hyuga clan. Yes, that's all. I hope Kaker can be peaceful, and my family can live in a peaceful village. Kobayakawa Kazuma looked up at the sky, and the setting sun gradually sank until it fell into the invisible distance. He also longs for peace. Hyuga Chan's heart was touched. Kazuma Kobayakawa's speech reminded her of her brother when she was a child. At that time, Hiashi would protect her behind him when he encountered a grizzly bear, and he would not hesitate to offend Konoha's senior officials for the sake of the Hyuga clan. Today's elder brother is still protecting the Hyuga clan in his own way, but due to various reasons, he has become a little weak when dealing with the outside world. Of course, this change is also to better protect the Hyuga clan. Unconsciously, night fell, and Kobayakawa Kazuma returned to the room early. He put on his yukata and studied the news related to Orochimaru by the light. As we all know, Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, is a person who is obsessed with science. People like him have their own views of good and evil, and have a very poor sense of morality. Because of this, the probability of success in the transaction with Orochimaru is very high. As long as he can come up with something that Orochimaru is interested in, there will be no surprises. Outside the door, a masked ninja knocked on the door and said respectfully, Hyuga, the wife of the Hyuga clan chief, is coming to the embassy. I don't know what's going on. Let Hyuga Haruka come directly to my room. In addition, restrain everyone in the embassy not to let them approach my room. Kazuma Kobayakawa, who was about to go to bed, changed his clothes and prepared for the next thing. Although Hyuga Haruka is also a great beauty, there is still a certain gap compared with Hyuga Chan. Kazuma Kobayakawa did not think about things like letting Hyuga Haruka have a child. Just go through the motions and send Hyuga Chan back to the Hyuga clan. The late autumn night was already a little chilly, but Kazuma Kobayakawa's room was filled with warmth. Hyuga Haruka's face was full of humiliation. For Chan Zhong and the Hyuga clan, she reluctantly did what she didn't want to do. That night, Hyuga took advantage of the night and left. Early the next morning, Kobayakawa Kazuma changed into ninja clothes and put on his ninja sword after getting up. He was going to call to Chunin to see Orochimaru. Counting the time, Orochimaru should have returned to Konoha village yesterday. Stop. As soon as he walked out of the door, Kazuma Kobayakawa was stopped by Hyuga Chan. If you want to ask about returning to the Hyuga clan, don't worry, I will send you away right away. Kobayakawa Kazuma said. He has made almost all preparations. It is only natural for Hyuga Chan to return to the Hyuga clan. I just want to ask, what did you do to my eldest brother's wife? I saw her enter your room last night. Hyuga Chan asked fiercely. If she didn't have the Byakugan, she would never have discovered Hyuga Haruka. Came here at night. It's just like you thought. Kobayakawa Kazuma didn't shy away from it. After all, he still dared to take responsibility even though he had done some things. Why? Thinking of Hyuga Haruka's figure and appearance, Hyuga Chan's first reaction was not to hate Kobayakawa Kazuma. But, she didn't understand where she lost to that sister-in-law. In terms of youth and appearance, she has absolute confidence in herself. The only problem may be the caged bird on her forehead. Sister-in-law is the symbol of the Hyuga clan, an elegant and loyal woman. I will never allow you to taint her, and I will never allow my brother to know about this. Hyuga Chan knew that she could not stop Kobayakawa Kazuma's decision, so she added. In return, I will give you the shadow clone technique after I return to the Hyuga clan. I agreed. Kobayakawa Kazuma smiled. He was originally just going through the motions for Hyuga Chan, but he didn't expect to have additional income like shadow clone technique. This time, I made a lot of money. Remember what you promised me, otherwise, I will never let you go. Hyuga Chan gently hit Kazuma Kobayakawa's chest with his fist and warned. She turned around, feeling depressed for a moment. Since becoming pregnant, Kazuma Kobayakawa has never touched her again. We did so many things together before we were obviously pregnant. With 2 Chunin in tow, Kazuma Kobayakawa headed to the vicinity of the ninja school, where Orochimaru's home was before betraying Konoha. It's just that this Sannin is away from home all year round. After all, he has too many experiments to do and too many experimental materials to collect. Fallen leaves in late autumn were piled all over the ground, and classes were still going on at Konoha's ninja school. The little ninjas shouted slogans of struggle and sweated heartily on the playground. Orochimaru was standing outside the ninja school. He looked at the ninjas on the playground and didn't know what he was thinking. Meeting Orochimaru by chance saved Kazuma Kobayakawa a lot of trouble in searching for this talent. Orochimaru, I have something to talk to you about. Let's talk alone. Kobayakawa Kazuma approached Orochimaru and directly called Orochimaru to the side road. The appearance of Orochimaru at this time was not much different from that of Orochimaru during Naruto's time. The sinister smile and snake-like vertical pupils made people shudder just by looking at him. Mr. Kobayakawa, what do you do for me? Orochimaru's voice was hoarse and he looked at Kazuma Kobayakawa with some interest. What's strange is that when Orochimaru looks at Kazuma Kobayakawa, it's more like he's looking at a toy. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.